Hello, everybody. Hey, Kevin. Happy Monday. It's Memorial Day today. We're going to be working, Abby and I. Hey, Goose. Goose, are you really not watching the stream? I see the listening only thing on there. All right, let's set my mouse to the right thing. Why is this not working? Okay. So, yeah, we got 2 weeks left until Next Fest. Let me close out of all this stuff. I don't really know what I was doing before I left, but I left on Thursday and I didn't share what I was doing, but now I will share. I went to California for a wedding. And yeah, it was a nice trip, but it was very busy. So now we're back. Attention to Gus, the little rascal. All right, so let's start with tenants. That's why you're not in chat? Yeah. I mentioned on stream that I wouldn't be streaming. And I mean, typically when that happens, it means that I'm probably doing something else or I'm on vacation or something. Tenant review. We should put this here too. Okay, we only have 2 of these, and neither was really affected by last week, I guess. Yeah, I coincidentally took Friday off from streaming because of our trip to California. I don't think I was feeling any sort of burnout pressure. And bricklaying, it's been tough to figure out the top priority for anything because I'm not totally sure what to expect out of Next Fest. But I am making progress and I'm moving things forward in some way. So yeah, I think in general, I think things are going well, but I'm a bit concerned about 2 things. What will Next Fest actually do for us? And what will we do about marketing after Next Fest? Anyway, that's that. How dare you take vacation? Yeah, I don't know how Red streams like 7 days in a row with no breaks. It's not even 7 days in a row. It's like 50 or 60 days in a row. It's 7 days a week for many weeks in a row. Okay. I have a Z shell function called GL, which is git log, and I just never use it. And I wonder if I should start to use it. So I wrote that down, but I don't think we should keep that on the list. Then there was this thought I wrote, which is I'm probably not going to do any new videos leading up to Next Fest. I was talking about doing some marketing videos or something. I just don't think it's worthwhile. Let's say we got another 100 wish lists before Next Fest. Like, is that going to matter? It would probably take me several hours to get to that point anyway. And we're not getting 100 wish lists. We actually got -3 the other day. So, yeah, I guess like even +5 is decent nowadays. So yeah, I think what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks entirely is just improve the game. And it doesn't have to be just development and bug fixes. It could be things like music. But yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. I wrote down some things on Wednesday. Let's just bump all this stuff to the bottom of the list. And yeah, I think a user research session would probably be good. I guess I'll write this down for tomorrow. I might even stream tomorrow. I'm not sure. Consider streaming, maybe without a face cam on. Or the face cam on. User research session. Or bump this down to here. Also, maybe add B-Boy to the list. Okay, collect mushroom and spore graphics, modify art requests. Put this down to Tuesday as well. Wait, so file something on resizing or shrinking and expanding battle windows. We already kind of have something about this, maximizing windows. Hey, Phil. How goes it? Yeah, I'll write down some other consideration here. I don't like how it does that. I press enter and it like bounces the thing down to the bottom. So other ways of controlling window size. So here are the options that we had. If I tab these all the way back and copy as markdown, then it won't mess up when I type it into GitHub. Yeah, there we go. All right, it's option 1, have minus and plus buttons in 3 sizes you control through settings. 3 size sliders, I guess, that you control through the settings. The small size, the normal size, and the large size. E.g., you can set the large size to be 400%. And the small size to be 25%. Allow for resizing as though these are OS windows. Drag a corner and have minus and plus buttons that cycle through predetermined ratios. Yeah. I'm still not certain how people are going to want to do this and where the buttons are going to go and everything. Hey, Tech Workbench. What are the must-do things before starting development or conception of the game? Register domain, register brand. Do you have any thoughts or references on this? I think there are a bunch of starting steps that you can do in kind of any order, depending on what your goals are. So if your goal is to make a profitable game, then your first step is probably going to have to be market research. And then after that, it's probably going to be prototype. It's probably going to be some combination of prototype and design. Either way, you're eventually going to get to this point in both. Okay. I don't like ads on Twitch, and there's no way to turn them off. And I recognize that they're on right now, but I don't want to return to this topic. All right, well, we filed this thing. Should probably merge the change from screen position on its own. Same with that. So I did this stuff. And battle window stuff. Perhaps usually resize. Okay, so that's all done. Hey, Magnetic Bind. How goes it? So, huge bug. If you level up a dead adventurer, they revive themselves, but they don't look like it. They don't look alive. I only noticed it because the rogue died and they leveled them up. This is a massive bug. Yeah, let's fix this. I don't think this is a big deal, to be honest, unless it can get you into a state where you can't lose a battle. So if I go to stack computations and look at level up. Okay, does not want me to look at level up. Let's reload this. Somewhere here, yeah, we just have set max life. But the way that we make a battler is that we make them with the same health component that their adventurer has. How do we do this? Here it is. This is a direct reference to the adventurer's health component. It was easier to do this than to manage 2 separate components. Yeah, so I guess what we could do is when we call set max life, just don't modify life if it was 0. Yeah, in fact, we could say bool was dead. And then if not was dead, then add life. Don't revive the entity if it was already dead. Otherwise, well, it'll affect battles. I'm not even totally sure how that works. There's the ability system, and that figures out who should can update abilities. This should figure out who should run these. Yeah, this is based on if they're dead. So when we revive them that way, then they run their abilities again. But what, can they not be targeted in battles anymore? I wonder how that actually worked. Because we get something like get living battlers on team, filter by team where they're not dead. No, I think they were targetable. I want to delete this change and I want to see how this thing would work. We need, how do I even set this up? We need 2 battlers and we need them to do very little damage. I'm glad to hear, Magnetic Bind. Things are going pretty well. We got 2 weeks until Next Fest. I think we're going to mostly do development tasks. Yeah. I think I'm going to cut out any marketing sorts of things. Yeah, Tech Workbench, the short answer, and I think I already closed this thing, is first, figure out your goal. Is it make a game for fun? Is it learn game dev? Is it make money? And then if it's make money, do market research. You can't just be like, I'm going to make a platformer and somehow expect to get tons of money. And then, yeah, some combination of prototype and design. And then just keep iterating on that. As far as the brand stuff, I guess it all depends on how many resources you have, really. Like if you were a mega company, yeah, you're probably gonna want to put out some material ahead of time. But if you're an indie developer with one or two people, you probably don't have the resources to maintain like a site, a community. Well, it's not even you don't have the resources to maintain it. It's you probably don't have the interest in it. Okay, yeah, I kind of want to test what would have happened here. What would have happened if this revive bug? Well, it's not really a bug. Yeah, it is a bug. Bug were in the game. And so, how do we set this up? We need two adventurers, one with no life, the other with a ton of life. Yeah, I guess that shouldn't be that hard to do. Hey, Caleb. Might need to do a market research bit. Yeah, what I was saying is if you are doing something for money, you need to do a market research. If you're doing something to learn, you don't need to do any market research. You could make, Super Mario 64 exactly as is if your goal is just to learn game dev. You don't need to find out that that's going to be impossible to release because that's not your goal. Let me see. All adventure data. All right, so we got to make one of these characters really, really weak. How many levels are there here? 20? Okay, so if we just take the base life values and copy paste this down to the rogue and give them 1 life and then like 1,000,000 life. Okay. Now we do the same thing for the mage, except for they always get 1,000,000 life. I guess we could just set this to 10,000. That should be fine. And then we need to make them do no damage or very little damage. Yeah, very little damage, I guess. Let's just copy this. Where's the power stuff? AAA's been making some flops as of late. Oh. I thought it was in response to the whole, like, I thought there was a miscommunication about whether indie devs were somehow unique in that. Yeah, I mean, I guess as a joke, I should just laugh and move on. But one of the things I was thinking about is you can do market research and be wrong about it, or the market could shift. I was actually thinking about this in terms of Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones, everyone knows, had tons of money behind it and made tons of money. It was a cultural phenomenon. And since then, there have been some shows that have tried to replicate that. And I think most recently, I read something about Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time, I guess, had 3 seasons and now it's canceled. And they cited 2 reasons. They said it was viewership is flagging and production costs are high. I mean, really, there's only ever one reason for canceling a show. Well, I guess not always one, but mostly one, and it's money. And in this case, both of these things mean, hey, we're not making as much money as we wanted to make. And I thought about it. Game of Thrones, someone at HBO probably did market research, but like the novels had already proven themselves. I think they were selling pretty well. I mean, I don't know how well exactly, but the novels already did well. The story's already made. With Wheel of Time, they probably thought like, oh, there's still a desire for this. But had they somehow beaten Game of Thrones to market, I guess advanced things by however many years, and I don't know if that would have been possible if the books were even written by then, they might have been the Game of Thrones that everyone experienced. So I think sometimes there is some amount of luck there. Someone might beat you to market, and there's just kind of nothing you can do about it. All right, so which character is it? The mage? I want them all to do 1 damage. So let's just delete all of these things. Novels are great. Series is not even worth the watch. I haven't seen it, and I actually haven't read the books either. But what I was reading online said something like the series actually was pretty good, and season 3 is the best season yet, according to fans. But I guess that's just how these things go. Also, welcome in Grifa. They're very popular. Yeah, but it's like Lord of the Rings is popular, and Rings of Power didn't get the rights to everything in the book. So it's like, is the genre popular? Is the setting popular? Are the characters popular? Are the actors popular? Because like Lord of the Rings was a super successful set of books and a super successful set of movies. And then Rings of Power, I actually don't know how successful it was as a show. Rings of Power. What's the reception? Reception. I was hoping this would be pretty fast. Metacritic reviews look like they're dropping. Although that's not bad. Being around 70% doesn't seem bad to me. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know at a glance like how much money are they making. Do they list it here? No, they don't. I guess they do that with movies. Hey, Iron Crusader. Yeah, I think my wife read the Wheel of Time stuff. It's all by Sanderson, right? She really, really likes Brandon Sanderson. Did he make Wheel of Time? I am guessing he did. No, he didn't. Okay, never mind. Wait, what did it say about Sanderson? Co-writer of the final 3 installments. Oh, is this that like mega series then? That Ryan was talking about? Yeah, and like all of these are super long. Okay, all I knew is that Sanderson was involved somehow. I thought he wrote all of them. He finished it after the author died. Also, hey, Syracuse. They use the book story versus develop their own based on the books. Yeah, Game of Thrones was very funny to watch from a distance and sad at the same time. It's like everyone was so into it. And that effect is amazing. I love that effect. Like you're watching something and there's a pretty good chance that anybody you talk to has also watched it or experienced it in some way. And then there was just this collective sigh as the show died in fantastic fashion. Okay, so we've set up the scenario here, and now we need to go try this out in the game. Longest fantasy series. Yeah, what a feat. I would love to write. Well, I started writing a book, and I never actually. What is this? I left out a number. Yeah, I started to write a book, and I just never got done. Rogue doesn't have levels defined for everything. Did I delete something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, 20. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's what I did wrong. Yeah, of course. We need another. This is 3, 5, 7. Let's copy these. 11, 15, 19, 23. So now we delete 3 of these. And there. Now they should have pretty much infinite life. You read it yourself, how bug? Yeah. That's like 7 pages long. Made something new. Yeah, there was definitely some licensing issues there, though. Like they couldn't get Aragorn or they couldn't get Legolas as characters, not even the actors I'm talking about. All right, so we unlock all adventures, and we. Oh, whoops! I gotta do one more thing. I gotta go to all enemy data, and I gotta make bats invincible. There. Oh, I should have saved. Yeah, whatever. Much easier to start than to finish. Yeah. I mean, that's true of practically everything. All right, so we send the rogue and the mage into a battle. And then the rogue needs to die, which should happen in the first hit that they take. I just need them to take the hit. Yeah, good. So they're dead. Now we revive them by leveling them up. So I click this, and now they should do damage again. They're not doing damage. Oh, did I comment out too much? I think I commented out too much. I did. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to do that. It's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be tough if you're adapting books that were highly acclaimed and did a very good job at setting up a story and everything, and it's not written for kids. Then how do you take the unfinished part and finish it? Like you presumably don't have that skill, or else you probably could have written the books to begin with. Yeah, I also didn't really watch Game of Thrones. I saw episode 1 and then most of the last season, but nothing in between. So I basically only watched the bad parts. Okay, so we're going to have the rogue die, which should happen pretty soon. Okay, I'll just speed this up. There. Okay, so they're dead. Now I'm going to revive them by leveling them up, and I want to see, can they be targeted again? Wait for this. There. Okay, cool. Yeah, so now they're doing damage again. And the rogue just died again, I think? No, they're still using stealth, though. Oh, now they have infinite life, though. Oh, I want to see if they can die a second time. Okay, so how do we set that up? We got to change their infinite life to something that's not infinite. I keep saying infinite. I mean practically infinite. Like, we're never going to wait around for this long. So let's just give them 30 life. There. Yeah, the books still aren't finished. And George R.R. Martin is apparently... Actually, I shouldn't say apparently. He's working on them, right? But he's somewhat old. I don't know how old he is. He is 76. Yeah. So I remember there being some question about, like, will he finish the books before he dies? But I gotta imagine that there's someone he trusts enough to finish them, or he's like outlined what he has in mind, so that if he does die, that someone else can finish them and make people a ton of money, probably. Okay, the rogue's gonna die. Let's do this. Oh, that took a very long time. Okay, so now we level them up. We wait for that to take damage. Good. All right, now the rogue should be able to die again after taking 3 hits. They've taken 0 so far. There's 1. They're still doing damage. When you see zeros come out of this very quickly, it means that the rogue is alive. But they've only taken 1 hit. If they take 2 more, they should die a second time. And I want to see what happens when that occurs. But they're not getting hit at all. It's a 50% chance. There. Okay, so now I have 1 more hit. There. They should be dead now. Yeah, the numbers stopped. They didn't play another animation or anything. Yeah, so if this ever happened in the actual game, people would probably just never notice. He wrote Elden Ring lore? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Hope I would choose to move all my IP into the public domain. You might not have the ability to do that depending on what you set up with a publisher. Also, oh my God, Abby is like the cutest thing right now. Let me take a picture of this. Okay. Now let me show you the picture. She's a little crescent roll on my lap. This is her right now. Is there a rotate in here? Yeah, maybe not. Just peacefully sleeping, warming up my leg. Look at this little paw. Okay, cool. Well, we tested this. Hello, Adam1. Yeah, very cute. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna get rid of this change. Yeah, this is one of those critical bugs that I guess isn't really all that critical then. Like, reviving someone who shouldn't be revivable sounds like a critical bug. And yeah, it does something you're not supposed to do in the game. Oh, you're so cute, cat. She keeps moving. All right, so fix bug with prevent reviving from level ups. So because battlers share a health component with adventurers, leveling up the adventurer could revive the corresponding battler. This wasn't really a huge deal. The battler would still look dead, but it would function as though it's alive until it dies again, which could happen since they could get targeted. Yeah, there, that's it. Cats are too young to do that right now. How old are they? I've been suggesting we get an office cat. That's a good idea. All right, so that's done. Ogre blood isn't black anymore. Okay, so we go to all item data. We search for ogre blood. This was at 16.2. Do I still have this open? Yeah. So now it's here. So what is 16.2? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. It'd be this one? Is that right? So it doesn't have the little handle things on it? Can we verify this? Is there a black potion there? No. Wow, let's just add a bunch of workers. Come on. Oh, wait. Oh, there won't be a black potion at all. Because that's the problem here. It's going to be a clear potion. There it is. Yes, it does have the little handles on it. So did I miscount? I guess I must have, right? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 16. Yeah, I did miscount. Okay, so instead of that, instead of 16, 2, it's going to be 18, 1. Also, how are these offset by 1? Huh. I think that's just a mistake. But anyway, 18, 1 is what we want to change this to. So 18, 1. Wait, let's try that. 4 months old, full of energy, a hard sleep crash. I've never owned a kitten. The cat is so adorable. The cat named Leo. Before I leave for work this morning, he was sleeping in my socks box. The old socks box sleeping cat. Okay, cool. Yeah, problem solved. Okay, fix ogre blood graphic. It was just using the wrong one from the sprite sheet. Now, I did want to do some investigation. I think we looked at this the other day, but I don't recall what happened with it. But, oh, I don't even have the old graphics, do I? I think I deleted them. Yeah, I'd have to find them. I don't feel like doing that. Okay, well, whatever then. Let's just check this in. Cool. All right, sludge text is appearing in the potion shop before getting repositioned. This is in screen space, so it'll be visible regardless of where you move the camera. This is going to be annoying. Let's go figure out what's happening. So it sounds like we're positioning it before its size is set, maybe. We're doing this. This will create it. Is intended to be added in screen space. Yeah, this one. So we create floating text. We get its target position. We set its position inside the tween, but we never set it before that. Oh, well, maybe that's just the problem then. Oh, no, here's where we create it. Drat, but that's not positioned according to camera. So we probably just need to do this. And everything should work, please. In which case, this was not that hard to do. Let's go over to unhandled input and add in a page up handler. And just have this spawn a bunch of text, I guess. Create floating text. How do you do this? String, position, color, scenario. All right, so string is going to be hello world. Position is going to be portal position. Color is going to be red, so it's obvious. And scenario is going to be the one that lasts the longest. There we go. Let's try that out. So this is with me having fixed things. So I probably should have tested it when it was broken. But let's see if it at least maybe the obvious to us. I don't care where this is going right now. That's actually, wait, maybe I do. What is happening? No, something's definitely wrong. Okay, let's turn this part off and let's try this again. Because, yeah, this is apparently incorrect. So this is without me having, quote unquote, fixed anything. I think I just broke it further. I don't see the issue happening. Oh, interesting. When it's fading out, the position gets messed up. I didn't notice that either. So yeah, if I move the camera around, you can see them like get flung at the end. But this isn't even reproing the bug. Oh man, this position is so uncomfortable to code in. I need the cat to be off my lap, but she's like thoroughly asleep. On my shoulders. Okay, Abby, I'm sorry. I know you want to be here. Okay. Can I move you that way? Sorry, cat. Sorry. Oh, she looks so sad. So we have two problems here. If you move the camera as the text is fading out, it won't get positioned any longer. So we need to run the fade out in parallel. Yeah. So we can't do this here. Hey, Mikers. Oh, man. that makes this slightly more annoying. But the other thing that's I still haven't figured out is why is this only happening here? We should have a plus sludge message. Yeah, here, acquire sludge. Get acquire sludge. So this goes here. Maybe this is the problem. Maybe because we specify... No, that can't be a problem. What am I talking about? Well, let's run it. Let's get rid of this from here. Let's just copy paste the whole thing. Although it should be 1-to-1. But we're going to try this. Do we have an unhandled input over here? Private. Oh, I guess it needs to be public. And I guess I'll call spawn floating text from this. So it's just a delta and whether or not a crit. So delta can be 5 and crit can be false. There. And this is just saying it needs to be higher up. Yeah, I don't care about that. Okay. So the bug is that the text would appear on the left side of the screen before getting repositioned. And it would only show up for like 1 frame over there. Are we seeing this happen? I need the chef slime to exist. We're not. What? Wait, there you can see it happening. You look here, it flickers really quickly over there. Yeah. But it doesn't happen when I manually trigger this. What? It's only when I harvest carrots? Okay, is it calling this thing? Put a breakpoint there. Yeah, it's calling this. Well, that's confusing. How is that even possible? Maybe because of when this is called? Spawn floating text here would be handled in unhandled input, whereas when it's normally called, it's through probably a process or something like that. That's going to be even more difficult to figure out. Where does this get called from? It's got to be in drop off, set sludge, modify wisdom sludge, consume fish, cook item. Here it is. And where are you called from? Oh, it's actually called from this fly-in item. So it's done wherever the tween is handled. Yeah. The callback of a tween gets hit. Setting it to transparent before fading in may be enough. That's true, it might be. But I kind of wonder why this is even happening. Where do we fade this thing in? Create floating text. Modulate equals color. Oh, we don't fade it in. We're adding it as a child. And where do we add this as a child? I guess inside of here. Does init call add? Yeah, it does. That's kind of strange. I still want to figure out what's going on with this. Where's cook item? So this is called from a tween. Okay. So when I add the same text creation stuff to unhandled input, the bug does not repro. It only repros when harvesting a crop, which happens from a tween's callback. Oh man. But the callback is just going to be this. It's just going to call modify wisdom sludge. Why does it matter that it's happening from a callback? Can I do this myself anyway? I could just make a tween that unfinished is going to do what I was trying to do there. Yeah, sure. Let's try that out. See if that actually suffices. I don't know. Tween equals create tween dot, what is it? Delay interval. There it is. Yeah. So we'll set this to half a second. Shouldn't really matter. And then tween callback callable dot from there. All right, so after half a second, it should do the same thing that it's doing from the harvesting a crop code. But yeah, I suspect something's gonna. Oh no, it is reproing. Yeah, so you can see it appear here really quickly. So now we can lower the half second down to like any amount of time. In fact, even 0 might work for this. Let's try that out. I wonder what fun problem this is going to be caused by. All right, so does 0 work? Yeah, 0 works. All right, well, now at least we have a test bed for this. So yeah, you can see the text showing up there really quickly. I wonder what position that is. Because maybe knowing what position that is would help us. Because it's always the same and it's in screen coordinates. I guess it depends on where we're adding this thing. Let's figure out where we're adding it. We're adding it to the floating text node, which probably does not have a position other than 0, 0. Harvestable spawner. I gotta reload this. Hopefully this didn't change any code. No, I think we're fine. Okay, so we go to the UI and we look at floating text node. Where is that? Floating text. Layout, transform. Yeah, it's at 0, 0. Huh. So then we position it. We position it at exactly the position that was passed in, which is what was passed into there, which is the position of the slime. Shouldn't it be the global position? I don't think that's all it would take to do this, but let's try it, because if it is, then that'd be great. It actually could be, because it's positioned relative to the farm, but it's lower than I would expect it to be. But still, let's try it. No, it's still broken. What is that position? I guess we'll just put a breakpoint there and find out. It is 8,403. That is very likely what we're seeing out of this scene. It's like roughly there, but that's not 400. Oh, it is 403. Oh, well, then that answers that question. So then we're not positioning in camera space soon enough. Because we set the position here. We add this thing. We set the text. We return from init. By the way, I don't know why init is even here. We only ever initialize this thing from right up there. So I should just move this code and not have this look ridiculous. Parent.add this being the floating text. And then floating text position and floating text label. Yeah, there. Now we don't need an init here. That's all fine. That is presumably what it used to look like. Because we used to add right before setting the position. Add right before setting the position, before setting the label, yeah. Okay, so this is all probably fine. Then we come back from this function over here, and the position is still going to be in world space. So then why doesn't this work? Maybe that didn't work because I wasn't using global position, and now maybe it will work. I would be pretty impressed. Get position of objects in screen space is at initial position. Yeah, except for this same function is used from 2 different locations. Only one should actually use the camera here. Well, now it's not appearing up here, but it is shooting off the screen. I'm still not sure why that's happening, though. Oh, because we set this. Oh, this is stupid. This needs to be here, and then we're done. I think we fixed it. I didn't realize I was overwriting the starting position. There are 2 different ways of specifying tweens, and one of them is with just the target, and the other is with the initial and the target. And this is used for tween property. You don't say what it starts at, but this is used for tween callback, I guess. Whatever it is. Tween method. All right, so how's this working now? No, it's still appearing there. Create floating text using camera. The call to create floating text passes position should be different there too. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I should just say position equals camera get position. Yeah. And then we don't need to do any of this stuff. Well, I guess technically it's just done by virtue of this. I think we solved it. Although now it's not. Now it's not showing for any amount of time. That's weird. Loading text opposition. Why did I even do this? Why wasn't this just position? Something's wrong. Maybe it's moving like off the screen or something. Wait, is it? Yeah, there it is. It's down there. Or at least a lot of them are down there. They're getting dispersed all throughout. Yeah. Okay. Well, that means that wherever I'm tweening it to is not correct then, which means this is probably wrong. Maybe this should just be position. Do we use... Yeah, something like that. The nudge, we need to get the nudge. Is the nudge done in screen space or what? It'd have to be in screen space. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. Why would this change though? The floating text position should be set to whatever position is. I don't think we modify it, so I don't think it's going to do anything. No, it didn't. But it's adding the camera position twice, it looks like. Maybe that's our real issue. Yes, that is our issue. This doesn't need to do this again. This can just be the tweened position. Okay, let's run that. Hey, Sengo. A glowing outline similar to the hover effect would improve the focus of the octopus. When zoomed out, it tends to get visually lost. When zoomed out, though, everything tends to get visually lost. And I'm okay with that. Because if we started highlighting everything that is of visual interest, then it would be a mess when you zoom out. Hey, who cares? All right, look at that. We got that working, but now it's not getting positioned again. So this shows what the real problem is. But we can draw on the screen. I could write my name. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, so obviously whatever position we get here does need to be modified by the camera. So instead of using camera positions for any of this stuff, we should use screen positions for all of this stuff and then modify it in camera position. So this is because you might have moved the camera. So we just get rid of this. And then this should be correct, right? I don't know what this used to look like though. So I don't know if I fixed this or not. This should be fine. Huh. What's the problem? Hey, QO. Not much of a highlight anymore. If anything else to highlight, yeah. Should call the camera, I think. Okay, first of all, before I keep doing this, let's go over to skip tutorial and let's set create farm. Now I don't need to keep doing this. Hey, Maisie, welcome in. Okay, but for now, we'll manually create the farm and then click this. Is this working? No. It's still putting it for one frame over here. Oh, right, of course. Oh my God, yeah. I keep forgetting what we're doing here exactly. So the problem is that we're positioning it, but the very first position needs to be in camera space. So we could actually do something like floating text dot position equals this. But didn't I try that and there was a problem here? My game dev, yeah. All right, yeah, nice. Now I don't need to do that. Okay, so I think I fixed the bug. Yeah. Now, if I do that, we do still see this problem with it fading out in the wrong spot. How do I get into game dev? I think the basic answer to that is download a game engine and mess around. So like go download Godot or download Unity or download Unreal. And then maybe like seek out YouTube videos or look through documentation. Yeah. I mean, that's it. There was a phrase I really liked. I was in a running club for a little while, and the person who was running it was mostly for adults. So it wasn't like, let's do like high school track or something. They said something like a runner is someone who puts one foot in front of the other faster than a walking pace. As in, this is a pretty accessible definition. As long as you are moving slightly faster than walking, you're a runner. You don't need to be someone who runs a marathon or something. It's like this is a non-gatekeepy definition. Yeah, obviously you still need your some amount of bipedal action here for this to work. I think it's the same thing with a game dev. You are technically a game dev if you have written like one line of game dev code, right? Or you've made some art for a game, or you've made some music for a game or something like that. So yeah, just downloading an engine and messing around with it is how you get started on your game dev journey. So this stuff worked. The part that didn't work is this. Add fade out and free to tween. This should run in parallel when the camera is involved. But in order for it to run, or no, I guess, let me think about this. Because this is presumably called from two different locations, right? Yeah, I did. 8, okay. Yeah, so what we need is for this thing to still be getting called here. So we update the position in camera space, which makes me think that possibly this shouldn't be done in a tween. We could do it in a tween and we could make this one be parallel. But then we don't have a from and a to. We needed to match the... I don't like this. Game dev seems kind of complicated. I mean, gauge that once you've started it out. Like download an engine, test it out, and see if it feels complicated. It might not. And there might be some ways that people make it more accessible for you. Yeah, so we need a tween with exactly the same duration that I guess doesn't change the position of this thing. I can't say I like that idea. Alternatively, yeah. By the way, this must have been a problem the entire time and I just never noticed. Right? Like if I click this and then I just move the camera as it's fading out. Yeah, it does move in weird ways. I just literally never noticed. So look, right before it fades out, they go off to the side. It's not the world's biggest issue, although if you move the camera really fast, it might be noticeable. Also, this should technically happen with everything. So if we were to do this and this and this, and I guess some of that. Okay, so now as items get purchased, all right, go buy some items. Good. Now if I drag this around, the same thing should happen with those two. Yes, they are. Yeah, I just never noticed. Wow. Should we move the positioning to a process in the floating text instead? So we could, but then something still needs to tween this. So we basically need to say like, I guess we need to allow its position to be controlled through another variable that's not just the position. But yeah, I think that would probably be easiest. All right, well, let's do that. Do we have a process here? We don't. But we should be able to add one below all these static functions. Public override process, which means that this thing needs the camera. So all these floating text dots can go away. And the tween position, we gotta figure this out. Not as pretty as a tween, but we can control it. Yeah. It means that this thing is gonna have a private camera. Actually, we don't need to set this to null. We do this here. So now in this one, when we create the floating text, we're gonna say floating text.camera equals camera. Oh, did I name this wrong? It's a camera 2D. Yeah, so, and then I need to rename this to underscore camera. Okay, so now the tweening doesn't work. So we would need to set what this thing is. Tween method could still do this. How are we setting it now? Tweening the position property. I don't know how I feel about this. Do we call this tweened position? And then in here we could use this. Public should come before private members, even static ones. Okay. Possible null reference. Yeah, this is the whole if camera is null, then just return. And then we need to change the tweens to modify this. So we just say floating text.tween position equals tweened position. Okay. And then there's one more tween down here. I don't know if this is even valid. So let's try now. Get the start and end positions into the interpolation so it's not tied to a tween duration. I think I'd prefer it this way. Because this will keep the old behavior. What we used to do was move the position in a tween, and then like that would finish. And then we would tween the alpha. If we do it all in process, then we're going to do them both in parallel, which is changing the behavior a little bit, but it's not in a bad way. It's not a big deal. But I don't want to change the behavior, I guess. What was I going to do? Okay, something's going wrong here. Wait. I can't totally tell. Well, let's do this. Yeah, so the original problems are solved to move the position while fading out. So there are two things move the position can mean. One is position it in camera space, and the other is tween the location so that it floats upward. So this is going to be done at some point, but this always needs to happen on every single frame because you might have moved the camera. So this is what we weren't doing that I wanted to do. This, once it's finished, I don't want to do it anymore. So wait, the thing that I'm not certain about is there one frame where this is wrong? And the only way I think I'd be able to figure that out is by going to the stream and going frame by frame. I didn't type my own name. Live here, click. Okay, so here we go. So if I rewind by frame here. No, it looks fine, right? Yeah, looks fine. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Yeah, no, it is tiny. Oh, man. There's just no winning, is there? I knew something was wrong. Okay, so that's because we're waiting until process to set the position of this stuff. So what we should do is just run process once. There should be like a public void update position, update camera, update position for camera in camera. I'll say update position. Yeah. All right, we don't even use delta, so just put all this stuff here. Update position, cool. And then just do this as soon as we create the thing, right? Yeah. Now this will probably fail because this relies on the tweened position, which is going to be set to a vector that is 0. So I guess we would also need to set the tweened position equal to the starting position. And then everything should work. This is something that should probably happen from inside of here, though. And it's going to be a problem with this too, won't it? Yeah, probably. No, wait, update position isn't even needed for that. No, this might be fine. Yeah, let's try this. So cute and small. Plus sludge. We just whispered at you. Okay, it was very hard to notice this last time. But I don't think anything's going wrong now. And as I move the camera around, everything should be fine too. Yeah, good. If I zoom out. Yeah, all that looks good. What about in battles? Do we see this looking fine? No, now it's not moving at all. Well, that was fun. Because we're tweening the position. Yeah, we want to tween, or sorry, we're tweening the tweened position. We want to tween the position. So now we have just two totally different classes here. Can't say I like that. But I also can't say it's worth doing anything about. Is it working now? Yeah, this looks fine. Yeah, that's good. This is good. It will show up on top of battle windows, I think. Yeah, that's a different problem, though. Okay, we can check this in. So all the chef slime stuff, this might be something that we keep. I'm not actually positive, so I'll just delete the other stuff. Loading text. Yeah, how fun. Oh, wait a second. We don't even need to do this anymore, do we? We can just call tween property. I'll do that in the next commit. That way I don't mess anything up. Yeah. Okay, this looks good. And then in town, nothing changed? Yeah, nothing changed. I don't need to check that in. So we just check in this and this. Oh, but before we do, let me write a comment here for what this is doing. Floating text that is affected by the camera always needs to be positioned according to that camera. We can't just rely on a positioning tween unless it's always running. Yeah, I'll just say it's easiest to do this through process or from process. So that a tween for the position doesn't always need to be running. Hey, Mars. All right. You know, speaking of the name Mars, so I watch some competitive Smash Ultimate videos, and there's this commentator who back in 2022 did an interview, and the person's name for people who actually watch Smash is DK Breezy. He was saying that Smash doesn't pay a lot to commentate, and pro Smash players are in the range of like 16 to 25, and at the time TK Breezy was 32, so now he's 35 or 36. And he mentioned one of the players that he talked to was Mars, which I don't think I even know who that is in the Smash community. But I was thinking about this in terms of streaming too. So back when I started streaming, it was 10 years ago, And there were a lot of people who joined who were like roughly college age. And over the course of my stream, a lot of them got degrees and then continue to watch. I don't know what the average range is now, the age range of new viewers in this channel. And I don't know if Twitch exposes that information. Let me see really fast. Stream summary. Because there was information about countries that people would view from. I don't even know where you see this anymore. Research, achievement, streams. Huh. Okay, well, there's some information here. Yeah, I can show some of this. So this is for the last month. You can see views by location, US, Germany, UK. I mean, these have always pretty much been the top 3 countries who've watched me for the last decade. But yeah, it's like drastically US viewers of all the other options. And then what do we have? Views by platform, engaged viewers, returning engaged viewers, similar channels and stuff. So yeah, there's no age stuff here. Anyway, I'd be curious about that. My point in bringing any of this up, despite that it was just that Mars's name triggered this recollection of mine, is that that age gap will probably just keep increasing. And one of the things that TK Breezy said is like, you know, I'm 32. I don't want to talk to a 16-year-old at a Smash event. Or if they do, that they don't, there's not a lot for them to connect on. And like, I don't know. I think it all depends on how long you talk to someone for. If you brush up against someone for like 10 minutes, yeah, talking to a 20-year-old that when you're 40 is not going to be the end of the world, right? But if you had to hang out with someone who's half your age for hang on one second. I don't know what that sound was. Okay, sorry. I went to investigate. Yeah, anyway, if you were hanging out with someone who's half your age for like 10 hours, you'd probably run out of stuff to talk about. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. There are, you can just be a friendly person maybe, or they could be a friendly person. Um, anyway, I don't know if I actually said this because I got up in the middle of it, but I wonder when that'll happen in this stream where I feel like I'm still doing my own thing, but people who come in are increasingly like, I don't know, I feel like I'm out of touch with them. And I wonder what I would do if that happened. 42, only started watching Twitch last year. Yeah, I think I need to see the like full data set of this. Most streamers are in the late 20s or early 30s in game dev. I like Factorio. They're more in their late 30s. Software dev seems to be late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. Because I will say this, even 10 years ago, when people would come in and they're like 13 years old, it's like it's very obvious to me that they're incredibly young. And the kinds of questions they ask are very like distracting questions. um, and I just it's like I have a certain goal as a streamer, and my main goal as a streamer is to be productive. And when people come in and ask things that are like way out there, it lowers my productivity. Okay, so we added a comment to this thing. I want to check this in. Now I want to change that function. Fix bug with screen position floating text. It was being positioned in the wrong location with the wrong size for a single frame. This should now be fixed. There was actually one more bug that this commit fixes, which is that the text stopped being updated according to the camera while fading out, meaning it would look like it was moving randomly. Okay, and now we can probably simplify this code right here. Yeah, I think what we can change this to is this. And we tween the tweened position. And we just set it to whatever this is, target position. Tween duration, that's totally fine. Cubic and out, that's totally fine. So now I think all of this can go away and this can go away. And that should be a little bit cleaner, but let's see if it works. Oh, which we can no longer test because I deleted the chef slime thing, didn't I? Well, I guess we still can test it. It's a little harder to do. I need to now harvest crops for it to show me. Yeah, so it looks like it's working fine. Do we see it flashing anywhere on the screen? No. Does it fade out the same way? Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Can we merge those and have a nullable camera argument? Well, eventually what I wanted to do is just have everything use a camera. We have some similarities for sure. So yeah, I guess that it would be a no op if we call update position here. So we could, oh no, this doesn't use the tweened position. Yeah, no, we can't quite, or in order to do it, we need to change enough other stuff. And really this thing just shouldn't even exist in the future. The only reason it's even okay to do right now is because we have a fixed camera in the battle. And that's probably the one location that'll ever be true. Oh, I just commented this out. Okay. Well, fine. Okay, so all we did is simplify some code. We got rid of 9 lines. That's pretty good. Simplify tween. This should be functionally identical to what we had, but it's 9 lines of code fewer or less. Whatever. Done, 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 done. Okay, not too bad. All right, what's this next one? You can't drag a battle window from any part of it, just some parts. I think I just want to file a bug on that rather than fix that right now. Because, yeah, you can't, but does it really matter? Nah, no, it doesn't. Do you have in mind about floating text showing up on top of battles? I don't really mind it for right now. Like, yeah, it's a bug, but I don't think I'm going to fix it now. Oh, you sent a PR fixing it. Okay. Well, that's great. I guess I should probably write this down, look through PRs. Okay, what was the bug I was going to file? This. Drag. Issues and improvements. I'll just file a new issue. Allow for dragging a battle window from any part of the window, not just the title bar. At one point, this was working, but now you can only drag a battle window from the title bar. This isn't really a big deal either way. And depending on how we implement resizing, e.g. for... Huh, that's weird. No, there it is. We may not even want this functionality. Gotcha. Okay, well, let me just look at that right now then. Fix dragging battle window from inside. Okay. Oh, I thought it meant the floating text showing on top of battles. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Use the wrong filter for one of the controls. Which, was this like a mega change that we have? No, oh, I see. This was reverting of, okay. So we had a situation where we had like bug A was solved and bug B was solved. And then there was a PR and then bug A was back in, but B was probably not. And then I sent a fix and I put bug A back or bug B back in. And now Gavin sent the fix, and now there are no bugs. Got it. Okay, let's try this out. 998. Do we have any changes? No, but let's sync these. Wait for that to work. Looks good. Cool, cool, cool. Try that out. Looks good there. Looks good there. Looks good there. Cool. Yeah. Thank you for fixing this. Yeah, this is exactly what we needed for this. So now we need to just change this. This is 999. So if I just edit this and say fixes 999 and then merge, then this should automatically be marked as closed. Perfect. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. All right, luminescence issue. Let's go look that up. Anyone else's audio really low? I probably have the mic a little bit lower than I normally do. Let me know as I talk, Bucky, if that's better. I'm also just a little quieter in how I'm speaking. Plenty loud for you. Okay. Hey, Amazon. All right, Paladin's Luminescence can proc Radiant Retaliation, which uses Shield Bash, which can add an effect, which can trigger this. Whoa, what? I don't think all of that was necessary for this, was it? All adventurer data. Where's the Paladin? There they are. Luminescence, that was mentioned. Radiant Retaliation, that's there. No, that can't be it then. I think you only need the first two skills for this to happen. Holy Blessing, what does that do? Oh, luckily we got the Paladin. Holy Blessing. Reduce all damage taken. Huh. So if we just put a point in each of these, and then we send a bunch of adventurers into battle and make them invincible. So just send them over there. I don't know. It doesn't matter. There. All right, now at some point, this is probably going to cause an error. It's not. Maybe I can't make them invincible. What do these do? Oh, yeah. No, this is the same problem. It doesn't need to be this. Yeah. So why isn't this happening then? Because it's luck based on how they get damaged and there are too many enemies? Okay, yeah. So then if we just go into the forest, it won't be as luck based. It'll still be luck based, but it should be easier to proc. Oh, wait, maybe it involves actually taking damage. Maybe that's why it's not happening. Aha. Problem found. Yeah, collection was modified. Okay, well, anyway, we knew that was the problem here. It's in process effects. Problem is this line, and adding a new effect, we're processing an existing one. Yeah. Bunch of quick solutions, copying the effects list or caching effects to be added, but I want to look at what's best so we never hit this issue again. Yeah, we could certainly just copy the list. How long is the list right now? 5 items. So we updated an effect. What does this look like? Luminescence. Luminescence can add rays, which can call a thing here, which can trigger an ability, which can add an effect. So yeah, one way we could do this is by caching which effects should be added later and then add them later. This is what we do for handling dead battles and dead battlers and summons. Is it worth the effort? I guess what would we be doing? Every time we want to add an effect, add it to a different, actually, I guess, don't we already have an effect component? Effect component. We presumably just have an add effect. Do we not? Add effect, yeah, right there. So instead of adding it to effect, we would add it to a staging location. It's not that hard to do, I guess. It's just, is it worth it? Add it to a staging location. Like effects to be added. Then when processing effects, go through that list and add them all. Because adding can have side effects. Do I want to do that? What is the downside? It means that you could add an effect that then gets staged that maybe then we want to remove. Maybe that doesn't make sense though. Switch your FTE. So if you mean, is it like my main gig? Yes. I'm not employed by Twitch. I'm considered I guess a contractor technically. So like I get paid via 1099, I think. But yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing it for income really. I make about probably 5,000 per year from Twitch. I've just never really pushed for subscriptions. So like the main thing I'm hoping to make money from is going to be Skeleseller. And who knows if that's going to work out. In fact, I actually just looked. So I have adamlearns.com, and I was originally selling 3 courses, and then I eventually made courses number 1 and 3 free, and dev efficiency was the only paid one. Well, I tried logging into my payment processor and it failed. And it failed over enough time where I'm like, okay, this is probably something I should email them about. So I emailed them and they're like, oh, you have had an inactive account for like the last 6 months, meaning no one has bought this course, which I don't ever advertise. So I know why no one bought the course. So then it was just impossible for people to get it. And they had my money. So I asked for them to remit it to me. And they're going to do that. There's no problem. They just, yeah, it's just kind of sucky that they canceled my account without telling me. So I'm probably just going to make that course free. And I got to do that at some point. Are you living off savings? Sorry if that's personal. Yeah, pretty much. My wife also works. Yeah, right before this, I was working at Google for 3 years. And I mentioned this before, but Google pays like a boatload of money. And I still sometimes can't fathom how people work at Google for longer than like 5 years. Why would you do that? It's either you like the job or you're really bad with your money. Need to start doing YouTube devlogs to generate some more wish lists. I tried a couple of those and they just never really got any views. I think I kind of call this like, well, I don't know if I have a name for it, but it's a marketing problem, which is like you have a product you want to market. So you want to market Skeleseller, let's say. So now you think, I'll make videos. Well, now you need to market your videos. Now, I recognize that some people see the videos as marketing, but like if you look at, search for devlog here, I did 2 and they got 450 views on average. It's not nothing, but like probably a lot of that is my subscribers anyway. So like now I have to market the devlogs. So now I got to go post about them everywhere. Like I get that it's more consumable content than just I'm making a game, but now we at least have a demo. So marketing the demo is something that's maybe easier to do than marketing videos about the demo. With that said, I just haven't put a lot of time into that stuff. I didn't think these did well enough to begin with. I didn't know where to post them. I gotta figure that stuff out. Did you stay until those RSUs vested? It's pretty much impossible to stay for all of your RSUs to vest, and that's by design at these companies. So it's all a question of like, did you feel like you got enough of them? Because at every company I left that had RSUs, I left some RSUs on the table. It's rarely like, okay, well, they've all vested and and we're not giving you any more, they will just keep giving you more. All right, so is there any downside to this? I don't think so. We can add effects as we go without worrying about modifying the collection we're iterating over. Add effects as we go. We don't need to do that anymore. 20% of wish list convert week 1, 3x that over the course of a year, and 2x that over 2 years. Yeah, I've heard about this stuff, but I think there are a couple of things. One is I haven't figured out like good marketing yet and haven't given up. And 2 is Next Fest is about to happen and should bring in like one of 2 things, I guess. Or maybe both, which is more wish lists and more certainty about the value prop of the game for players. So right now we're sitting at about 1,800 wish lists. And yeah, we could run some stats on that. The end result is going to be that it's a piddly amount of money, right? But Next Fest should bring in some more. I have no idea how much to expect from that. It could be 500, it could be 5,000. But I think what it'll probably bring in, which could be more valuable than even that, is just reviews on the game. And I'm not saying we need a certain number of reviews, but we'll get an idea for whether people generally like it or not. So right now there are 9 reviews. Like I said, I don't think it matters if there are 9 or 9,000. It's a demo. Everyone can play it for free. But if you do see overwhelmingly positive here, which granted that can only happen at 500 reviews, then it would let me know that, okay, this game is worth investing in. It's worth putting more time, worth building out. How much time do you spend marketing? It hasn't been very much lately. So like last week, I put up a new video. My strategy's been weird. I'm not trying to say I'm an expert marketer or anything. I put out some videos in the last like couple months and they did okay. I need to do some more Skeleseller specific content, but also I just need to post on more platforms. I haven't done that. So yeah, my marketing strategy is anemic right now. So we could change this. Do we iterate backwards in a couple different places? Yeah, we do. Need to fix the luminescence issue. So this is here. Assign to myself. It's tough in general. I think it is tough, but I think the other thing that's at play here is that there are people who specialize in marketing. So now imagine if you're like, okay, well, I have 40 hours a week and I have no budget. You can spend however much time you want, but that doesn't make you an expert at marketing. So like, you still need a strategy. And the people who know marketing would be able to come up with that strategy better than I would. There will be a point where Skeleseller will be for sale. So let's say it's selling for $10. And if we spend $5 to get like one sale, then obviously it's worth doing that. We're not at a point where I can take in money. So we could spend, let's say, $10 and get 50,000 wish lists. But that means literally nothing until you actually put the game for sale. So if your game never launches, the number of wish lists you have means nothing. It doesn't matter at all. And it's only indicative of potential future sales anyway. But yeah, once the game's for sale, it could actually realize in sales. That's 500K. It's a guaranteed amount of money. EJ, thanks for resubbing. Happy 58 months. You also lose 30% to Steam. Yeah. So if you spend $5 to make a $10 sale, you're actually only getting $7. $10 of like, yeah, revenue, I guess. It's $7 of, well, it's $2 of profit. And even then it's not really $2 because you still pay income tax on that. Could all crack the code on the method to get tens of thousands of wish lists. We'd all be rich. Yeah, and part of it's just making a game that people want to play, which even that is not easy to do. Thanks, DM, bro. Here's some change for the marketing budget. I appreciate it. Thanks for the resub. All right, so here's what I'm thinking here. We add a collection of effects. Actually, this can be private. This is effects to be added. I guess we don't need this to be private set, huh? We don't even need this to be like that. We can just say it's underscore effects to be added. And we can set it like this. The YouTube buggy. Marketing budget train going. I do eventually want to spend money on ads. I just haven't done it yet. And I don't think any marketing is important for the next 2 weeks. Because 2 weeks from now, we're going to hit Next Fest, which is going to be way more than any marketing I would have done anyway. And I don't think having momentum leading up to that is probably going to matter. It's momentum coming out of that I think is going to matter. But also, there's just a bunch of work to do on the game. And it's like, if you are, let's say, 1 person or 3 people or 5 people, you really need to pay attention to what you're prioritizing. We had like 100 people working on this game, then yeah, sure, put 10 people on marketing or something. It's not going to detract from the game. Gonna allocate a few grand just to test the waters to generate wish lists. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like I said, there will be some ad budget for this too. I keep getting publishers reaching out to me, and I wonder what that means. Like, are they just reaching out to basically everybody because there's almost no risk for them? Or do they see some amount of like, hey, this game looks like it could do well? It's hard to tell because a lot of their messages are just form messages. And also they would obviously try to butter you up, right? They'd say like, oh, I love your game. Yeah, we'd love to publish it. All right, so add effect is not going to be this. It's going to be effects to be added dot add. So we don't do this anymore. And it's not considered to actually have been added yet. So this stuff still needs to happen somewhere. But this would be something that's private. Do we have a... I guess we would need to make this public then, huh? Okay, fine. Effects to be added. Some are shady and you got to read the fine print. I'm not planning on going with a publisher at all. So I've heard enough horror stories, but also I kind of think whatever they could do, I feel like I could also probably just do myself. And if they can do it better, then sure, I'm leaving some money on the table. But this is the classic hiring problem. You'd want to avoid bad apples more than you'd want to get a potential good apple. So that's kind of the stance I'm taking with that. So this is add effect. We need to do this stuff somewhere. And this would happen from the effect system, I suppose. So we go through every effect that we have. I guess first we go through effect in ec.effects to be added. Okay, so you could die before we add these effects. I think that's fine. We can't call this. This needs to be like stage effect versus add effect. And you should never call add effect directly. Shouldn't we just have a process function then for this? I feel like we should. Add effects to be added. This is kind of stupid. Okay, so for each effects to be added. Cool. We don't do any of this stuff. We just put that there. Great. So now we can call that from over here and not do any of that stuff. Which again means that this thing can be private. I'll write that down. Make this private. It's a good name for a function, EJ. Be a shame if someone were to use in this code base and not give you credit. Okay, so when we remove an effect, we're removing from here. When do we ever call this though? I think we don't have any sort of cleanse or dispel effect. So it's literally only being done in what, 2 spots? Remove all effects. And that's it. Why does this look weird? Oh, because we were broken in there. No, it's also done here. What is this? Effects to remove, figure out the disposed ones, then remove them. Yeah, that's fine. This is problematic. I need to clear this out. And we should maybe check to see if the count is 0 and then just not do anything. Hey, Armadon. I am doing well. How are you doing? There's... I feel like it's been quite a journey over the last few months. Like, what was it? About 4 months ago, we pulled out of Next Fest. And the reason why was that I just looked at the last like 2 weeks of commits and I saw there were tons of changes, lots of improvements in the game. And I thought, man, if in 2 weeks we've made a lot of changes, imagine how many changes we make in 4 months. I gift you a sub for putting you through this. Putting me through what? And thank you for gifting a sub. What have you put me through? Yeah, I'm welcome, Dooku. Cool. Hey, son, hello. Purchased my first Corn keyboard with 42 keys. Given that I currently use a regular staggered keyboard with a special Rust-built tool called Kanata that allows me to use layers, tap, hold, mod rows. I tried mod rows and hated the experience, as even if carefully tweaked, the delay for me is yuck. What do you think about placing modifiers on another layer? I mean, that's pretty much what I did. If you take a look at my keyboard command, you'll see the key map there. So the way that I tend to use modifiers, and I'll try to make this fast, one is I have a combo for command. So now if I press A, it's going to do command A. And I have another combo over here for that same thing. And then I also use it inside of layers. And I have one-shot mods. So now command and shift are held. And if I press, well, I guess none of that's going to be obvious. Command and shift are held. And if I press L, it'll split it into different lines. So yeah, I'm pretty much doing what you're suggesting here. And I think it's worth giving it a shot. Consider one-shot mods also. Another gifted sub. Thank you. What's the point of it all if AI is going to replace us as software engineers? So this this is, I'd say, a philosophical or perhaps spiritual question. And I think you could have asked this even before AI. Like, what's the point of anything if we're all going to die eventually? And I will answer, I guess, my own personal take here is you ascribe your own meaning to your life. And some people will derive it from religion. Some people will make their own meaning. Some people will probably just not even think about this question and just live their lives. So let's say we do get replaced as software engineers. Is creating itself not a worthwhile endeavor to pursue? Like, why have artists ever existed? Art is not typically a functional thing, and yet there have always been painters and sculptors, and they might even get paid for that work. But it's not like the painting, held up a building or won a war or something like that. So yeah, I think it's easy to feel like we're on the cusp of some sort of singularity event, and then there's no reason to do anything because we'll just be able to press a button and get everything on our own. But even in that life, I guess envision this. Let's say we have advanced the clock by 5 years. Or 5 years in the future, AI has like fully replaced software engineers. Also replace 5 with whatever you want, 10, I don't know, whatever sounds palatable to you. AI has replaced software engineers. What are you doing with your time, assuming that you still have money to live? So if you don't have money to live, you're probably just trying to survive. But assuming you're making whatever amount of money you're making now still, just somehow, again, very hypothetical question, what would you want to do with your time? And yeah, maybe you'd be depressed and say nothing matters anymore. But like, I think there are lots of endeavors that a machine could do better already that humans still do for fun. Like, people knit for a hobby. You probably don't need to do that. There are probably machines that can do that better than we can. Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down with the segmenting. I cannot type for some reason. I don't think AI can replace software engineers in the next 3 years if it's all just slop right now. The work's been doing small things, not entire projects. Yeah. Again, a lot of this stuff is hypothetical. Let's just pick a number of years. It's all for the sake of this question, right? I don't think it's important whether or not this even comes to fruition. I think what's important is what would be your stance if it did come to fruition, at least in terms of what Armadon's asking here. Use Vial or QMK? I use QMK. And what's the specific name for that chord motion? Do you call that tap hold? What's the actual term? So the term that I'm using is one-shot mod. And yeah, the chord enables the one-shot mod. This is a built-in feature in QMK, but I'm using a custom implementation of it. And I'm not even sure what the custom implementation does over the original because I haven't touched this in like 2 years. But yeah, it's all there in the key map if you take a look. Yeah, no problem, Consolas. It gives it so to apologize for segmenting. Yeah. Anyway, Armadon, if you have any other thoughts on this, I'd be happy to chime in. But yeah, I think it's going to be something very personal for everybody. Like, how do you cope with a world where things are changing? And I think this has happened at various points in humanity, but in general, I think it's been maybe a little bit more constrained. Like AI, if it keeps improving at the rate it's been improving at, has the potential to disrupt pretty much every industry. Whereas, like, I don't know, an air conditioner probably did not have that same disruptive effect. Okay, so we only call remove from here. And we call remove all effects from the end of a battle. No, from dead battlers. Okay, so if we're removing all effects, we should remove the ones that should also get added later, right? So effects to be added dot clear. Okay, anything else going on with this? No, I don't think so. So now this doesn't have to be done backwards. We can just do a for each like that. Delete this comment. That's not bad. And then same thing up here. Remove all effects. Oh, this was to, okay, this one's special. Fine, that's fine. Excuse me, any other I minus minus in here? Yeah, here. What's this? Will in effect redirect attacks. Why was this even done this way? I don't know. What does this do? There's one effect that has this, right? No, there are two. Taunt and zombie link. I guess they're both basically taunt. And they just return true. And then the zombie link probably returns true 30% of the time or something. Yeah, some chance to return true. I don't see why this is done this way. All right, let's do this. Return ec.effects.any. That's easy. Nice. So that got a little bit simpler. Anything else here? No, this could probably be made private now. Hey, Smack. Interesting piece of news. Estonia will introduce AI literacy courses to school. Don't be surprised if in 15 years, most AI entrepreneurs are from Estonia. Pretty much the entire city of Phoenix is basically built on air conditioning. Yeah, I think I used a bad example because I think I've even heard it as like the air conditioner and the like the washing machine were some of the most impactful inventions for humanity just in terms of time and ability to work. Probably also glasses to some extent. Okay, so none of this is ever used from outside this class right now. So let's just rename this to this and make this private and delete that. And we're done with that. Now, why is it complaining? Make field read only, sure. And then it's going to want me to move that up here somewhere. Fields do not follow property. Yep, great. Yeah, looks good. Okay, now the question is knowing whether any of this worked without having the automated tests written to have done this. So I think just running some battles would probably help, but we also should probably validate that we fixed the bug we set out to fix. Call effect function has already been changed. Oh, and then does the effect system comment on this stuff? No. I never had a problem with this. Okay. Yeah, let's run this. Let's see what happens. So all we had to do was send the paladin to the forest and it would repro the bug. Yeah. Just had to keep moving stuff around. All right, so paladin, we unlock all the skills. We get these 2 skills. We put it in the forest. And then we just wait and see what happens. So what would be nice... Oh, it already broke. That's too bad. All right, buff is null. What buff is it even trying to get? Shield, bash, damage mitigation buff. Oh, because this hasn't been added yet? Oh, man. I guess at the start of the battle, we need to add some of these things. Let me take a look. Oh, yeah, because we call add effect, then we call get effect. I'm actually kind of surprised we even... Oh, no, I'm not surprised we do that. Okay, I got to think about this some more then. So the way that Shield Bash works is that every time you use it, your damage mitigation goes up a little bit. So I guess what we could do is when we add the very first one of these, we just set it to mitigation percent per hit. And if it has the effect, then we get it and modify it. This would work, but we need to test every single ability in the game, because add effect is not going to allow you to call get effect directly afterward. But that should fix that problem at least. Let's try that out. Is there any other thing? No, there's not any other thing we can do, I guess. We could have it get the effect from the effects to be added, but then I guess we had the same problem. Okay, let's try again. And let's speed this up this time. All right, so the paladin should eventually, yeah, they're taking 9 damage now. If we make it so that the bat actually just has a lot of life. Yeah, 10,000 life. So now the bat will never die. The paladin will always die. But we should see the paladin eventually take like 8 damage instead of 9. But maybe they'll die before that happens. Although maybe we could change that. Yeah, we could just change this to be like that. There we go. Okay, now we test that out. And we take a look at how much damage the paladin is taking. And let's speed this up a bit. So as they do more damage, they will take less damage. So they're taking 9 right now. 9. They should eventually take 8 at some point. Hey, Shari. How's it going? Thanks for the raid. I did not get to watch a lot of your stream the other day, but I hope Advent of Code went well. I think I messed this up. We're taking 11 damage now. Anyway, we're working on a game called Skeleseller. I think I might have mentioned this in your stream, but the game is available as a demo right now. The way it works is you hire adventurers, these little characters walking around here. You can send them into battle. So we'll send like 4 of these over to there. Here is all of the 4 of them battling a bat. And when they win the battle, they'll produce items that you can then go sell in your shop. And you upgrade your town, you upgrade your adventurers, you get new skills for them and everything. And just kind of keep, exploring Skeleseller, building things up. It's a semi-idle game, so like I'm not directly controlling these battles. And right now what we're doing is we're testing out a certain change that is made, which I think is working backwards. This is mitigation. This is percent increase of this. Is that set here? Yeah, it is. Huh. Why would they take 11 damage then? Something is very wrong. Anyway, I hope you had a good stream. And welcome in, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions. Gonna raid and run. Want to return the favor? Good luck on your project. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, hope you have a good rest of your day. By the way, this is mostly a coding stream. We are going to be looking at the game occasionally, but it's more code than it is looking at the game. I am just still not sure how this could even happen here. Taking 10 damage, 9 damage, and then it eventually says 11 here. I wonder if this has just been coded wrong forever and that the paladin takes more damage as the battle goes on. Or if we're somehow cutting out effects improperly. Because there are 2 things that are happening here. We have this skill, Holy Blessing. It says damage reduction. Maybe that's broken. Take a look at that. Do you have crits? No, the bats can't crit. So this should give a buff at the beginning of battle, right? Holy light buff. Blessing. Apply Holy Blessing. Here it is. Okay, so get the blessing level, get the mitigation percent. This is a positive number. Set the damage mitigation percent. It says percent increase. Get damage taken value. And that's all positive. Is this correct? Mitigation percent from buffs. Aggregate by adding all of these. And then just return the addition of both of those. That should be correct. I guess we could put a breakpoint on battle system, deal damage. and see how this could possibly work out to be more than 10? Yeah, so here, if modify damage info dot amount is greater than 10 and the source team is the enemy team, then just say damage is higher than 10 and put a breakpoint there. Okay, now let's restart this. Yeah, I'm not certain what's happening, but I think we must have something reversed somewhere where we're saying like it's supposed to be 5% less damage, but we're really setting it to 105% damage taken. That's probably what's going on. So if we load from our save file and go back into the forest with the paladin, it should happen pretty quickly. Just set the speed higher. Yeah. Okay, so why did this happen? Basic attack, deal damage. Get damage entity. This should always be 10. Yeah, it is 10. So then what's the mitigation amount? Damage mitigation percent. 0.01. By the way, there was that drilling sound again. I don't know where that's happening, but it sounds like it's in our home. Someone like trying to drill through a door and get in. Huh. Strange. I wonder what that sound is. It definitely sounds like a drill. I know you can't hear this, but I'm a little bit concerned how close it is. Woodpeckers? It sounds mechanical though. We've had some bird sounds, but this is so loud. Like I don't know if I should go walk around and like see. Yeah, I don't know. Then again, if someone is trying to do this, I don't know what they'd be trying to do. Like if someone's drilling into our home. Like, I'm here right now. There's nothing really to steal. Probably should check it out and make sure everything's good. All right, I'll be back. You know what? Let's take a quick break then. Is it jump time? It's jump time.
Okay, well, I don't know. Consoles. So the J, the number that you type. So if I join and then type like J5, it's the angle away from like straight up. So J90 means you're jumping like straight to the right, which is generally not moving at all. So like 45 or negative 45 is a pretty good amount to try out. You can try it here if you want to. Alternatively, I'll just run it again later. Anyway, the sound happened a few times and I tried locating where it is, but it was like trying to find a smoke detector that's only beeping once every minute. It was just hard to do when it wasn't happening that frequently. I couldn't find the source. It could be a bird, I guess. Close the game. Hey, Physitronic. I'm doing well. We've been making pretty good progress this morning. It's been kind of minor stuff. The thing we're trying to figure out right now. Oh, wait. Damage received percent. Aha. Look at that. There's the problem. Damage received multiplier. How is this working? I has damage taken increase value. What? Oh, God. Oh, God. No wonder the paladin's so bad. This is damage taken increase. This should be damage taken decrease. Whoops. Yeah, whoops. Oh, man. All right, well, where else did we make that mistake? Damage taken increase. It's only damage received debuff, which sounds correct, but what even gives you this? I think the rogue can? Yeah, two things can. Hmm. Hey, sick. Yeah, all right, so now if we test this out. Can't believe this. Back on the metal sounded like a drilling or automatic gunfire. Yeah, maybe it is that then. It's definitely it's possible. We have heard something like that before, but I think they were pecking on wood before. Okay, let's see. So I want to go back into that battle. And we were originally testing to make sure that none of these effects messed up, but now we're testing to make sure that the paladin starts taking less and less damage as time goes on. So they took 8. Yeah, they should take 9 at some point here. 8, 8, 9. Yeah, there we go. So there's some 9. So then I should never take 10 again. And I think the lowest they could possibly take is maybe 7, and I'm not even positive about that. Yeah, there's a 7. But I don't think they can go any lower than that. That lag is probably due to me zooming in with the with Mac. Yeah. So this is now working as intended. Wow, what a massive problem that was. That was just in the game probably since like day 1 of having the paladin in. And now it's actually working. So now we got all of the skills that the paladin has. There's another one that says you can increase your damage reduction, and then another one that makes it so that you get to that point faster. And then another one that says that you can use shield bash and get there even faster. Okay, so if we do all of that, we should see the paladin last for much longer now. They lasted for 2 minutes before. I'll have it sped up so it wasn't 2 real life minutes. But yeah, you can see some numbers like 7, 8. You should eventually maybe see a 5 in there. They're taking 6 now. No, maybe 6 is as low as it'll go. But yeah, now their survivability is way higher. And if we actually let this finish, which will probably take another like 20 seconds. Then their total lifespan was an extra minute and 10 seconds. Yeah, pretty good. And then we could probably make them win the battle if we just get every single skill. Yeah, so now they have every single skill. We have them fighting against a bat that only does 10 damage per attack. And now I think they'll win, but it'll take so long that I'm not going to let this play out. No, wait, no, they're losing. Well, yeah, they're losing, I think. All right, but they're definitely more survivable than they were before. Yeah. If they had just a tiny bit more power, like if I leveled them up even once, they might be able to win the battle. I'm curious just to let this finish and see how long they live for now. It was 3 minutes and like 8 seconds before. I'm guessing it's gonna be like 5 or 6 minutes now. Yeah, 6 minutes, 19 seconds. And like I said, if we just level them up once, they'll probably not die. Because now they heal for more. They take a little less damage, maybe. Might not be enough. Yeah, I'll just let it run. Because I go do something else. Okay, so what we probably should do is test out every single ability in the game and just make sure there are no crashes. But this on its own is something we need to check in right now. Yeah. Fix shield bash. Every time the paladin attacked, it would increase the damage that they would take, not decrease it. This was a major bug. It's the difference. It's potentially the difference between taking 120% damage versus 80% damage. Hey, Krasner. Happy week. I hope it's wildly productive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we have 2 weeks exactly until next fest. Well, I say exactly. It's actually 2 weeks minus 28 minutes. So it's almost exactly like on the nose the amount of time we have until next fest. Because it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time in 2 weeks. And I'm very excited for it. I think the press gets access to the games sooner than the general public does. I don't know if anyone's going to reach out about the game or not. And I don't know how many games the press could even cover in a week. I think Next Fest tends to have like 2,000 or 3,000 games in it. Now, a lot of them you can probably tell right off the bat are just like bad games. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like some people, they aren't trying to make a super polished product. Some people can't make a super polished product. Some are probably like asset flips or AI slop. Oh wait, yeah, my character actually won. Look at that. It took 12 minutes, but they whittled that bat down. Okay, so we fixed that problem. Now the next problem, so we don't need bats to have, well, actually maybe have them have a bunch of life is important. Turn off for now though. So effects component has been changed completely. Why is this highlighted? A field should not follow an event. Yuck. Tell me that's in the wrong spot too. Should not follow a constructor. Love it for it to just auto fix it. Have you decided how I'll price it? I want to aim for $10 on average, meaning maybe it starts at 14 and it goes on sale for 10. And then over the course of like 2 years, maybe then it's $10 normally and it's on sale for, I don't know, 8 or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, something around the $10 mark probably. I don't really think we have $10 worth of content yet, but I'm hoping that after next fest, we've got some more clarity on how we want to do challenge modes and stuff. And that'll hopefully make it feel like it's got $10 worth of content. Okay, as mentioned, I think the only real way to test all of this stuff is to get characters that have every single skill. So let's unlock every single skill and let's get a bunch of points and put them one into each skill. So there's that. There's that. Yeah, I know this is tedious. I have to click like 14 times. Whoops. I would expect at least one of these to be broken. So there's almost no chance of this just working because we probably did the same thing we did for a paladin, which is that after you call add effect, that we can't just trust that it exists. So I'm going to save so I don't need to do that ever again. And now we're going to send a couple of characters into each battle. So let's start with just the warrior and the mage and just see what happens. I mean, looks like everything's fine. As long as it hasn't crashed. I'm not looking to see are all the damage numbers correct or something. That's not what I'm trying to do here. All right, now let's send the witch doctor and archer in. Seems fine. The archer has not started glowing red yet, though. Why not? Let's try to make them glow red. Let's do that stuff. And this. They won't have max life. I'll just do this. There we go. they should start glowing red. They're not taking any damage. Okay, there they took damage. Huh. I think something's wrong. Hmm. Yeah, I think something's wrong. Okay, well, at least we're not getting crashes, but I guess this means I need to more carefully test the abilities. And who haven't I tried now? I did Warrior and Mage, Witch Doctor, so I need Cleric and Rogue now. Yeah, great. Okay, let's look into steady shooting and find out why this isn't working. Set num hits. Add or remove visual effect. What is this? This shouldn't be a problem. Huh. All right, let's put a breakpoint there. And let's see what's happening when we have the archer in a battle against this bat. It should get hit pretty much immediately. And it's not. Okay, that's surprising. It means that we're not even adding the steady shooting buff. What in the world is this? What? Empowered spellcasting used the steady shooting buff? That's a mistake. But what would that even mean? We'd have the wrong ID. Maybe it didn't matter, but I'm gonna change that too. That's not even what I wanted to look at though. We would add a buff at the beginning of battle. This is called get buff. Get buff is called from here. This is called from... Huh, where is this called from? Initialize, here it is. Then we call add effect, which now adds it to effects to be added. So that once this character is processed... strange. Okay, let's back out of this. And let's put a breakpoint on this. And now get the archer and the battle alone. Okay, that's scary that didn't break in. Am I never calling this function? Because if so, then no, we are. What is going on here? Oh, I see. Okay, let's do that. Man. Yeah, man. It's gonna be crazy. I think I'm either not adding to this correctly. It can't be that I'm not, yeah, it must be that I'm not adding correctly to this. Okay, we call add effects to be added. This is for hopefully the correct entity. ecs.debug print info. This should be the archer. Yes, this is the archer. And they have improved steady shooting. Good. Okay, so now we call into this. And effects to be added should have the buff that we want. Steady shooting buff. There it is. Hey, Fletcher. And then what? Then we just add this thing. Oh, it just moved to the other screen. Yeah, here's the steady shooting buff. That didn't look like it was happening before. I wonder if this is a problem on future battles. So if I put this in a battle with the Witch Doctor, are they going to glow red now? Oh, darn it. I guess it's back to 10,000. Man, I'm a little spooked because I don't know if I just fixed this or if this is still broken or if there's a case we got into earlier where it became broken. Yeah, everything's set up correctly here. So now we send these two into battle. And they should glow red at some point. They're not. There's a problem here. There's definitely a problem here. I don't know what to do about this. We'll have to still figure this out. Set num hits is never being called. And it should be called every time we do damage. And this isn't being called? How is this even possible? Well, let's put a breakpoint there. So who's the source for this? Debug print info. This is a zombie. I don't want a zombie. I want it to be the archer. That's another zombie. That's another zombie. Ah, there's the archer. Okay, this is what I want. On damage dealt. So we go into here. The entity is not dead. We get the effects component. We call the effect function for this. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's why. My bad. This should have just been effects. Okay, so then I need to test everything again. Nothing was working. Now everything should be fine. So now if we were to do that exact same repro, we should see the archer glow red at some time. However, we'll probably also see things break because I hadn't been testing everything earlier. All right, so we load from a saved game. We set the archer and witch doctor into a battle. And we should see the archer glow red. Yeah, there they are. So that's what I was looking for earlier. And thank goodness there's something with a visual indicator, or else I might not have paid any attention. And then none of this would have been working. All right, so the way we need to test this now is by throwing everyone in battles. So let's do warrior, mage, cleric, rogue. Because we already had the other two in a battle. Let's run all of this. Surprisingly, there are no problems. The bat is doing like nothing. I guess my characters are healing, which is why it looks like it's doing nothing. Why is this character getting a bunch of healing? Oh, that's lifesteal. Oh, and they have a damage over time. So they're stealing life from the damage over time. I wonder who the cleric is healing right now, because I don't see that happening. Unless it's... They should always be healing the warrior. I guess they're just healing for a piddly amount. Heal the adventurer in your party with the lowest life for 7 life. Was that even working? It definitely didn't look like it was. Hey, Jean or Jean. Please let me know if it's French or English. Okay, I see them healing themselves for 7. Are they healing the warrior for 7? This seems wrong. Okay, but too much is going on here. Let's cut out some of these skills. Let's get rid of all of these, in fact. And then the warrior can also get rid of all of their skills. Okay, start another battle. We should see the warrior getting healed for 10. At least whenever they're the ones at the lowest. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so they are getting healed occasionally. You can use the French version, but I am Brazilian. Okay, got it. I shall call you Jean. And I shall write this down. Okay, so is it worth testing every ability in the game? Is it even easy to do that? Well, it's definitely not easy. Nothing broke. Well, I guess we just set them into auto battles and just see what happens. So let's send a bunch of you over to here. And a bunch of you over to, well, the same location, I guess. There. And just run this faster. Some of them are missing skills, though, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, if this doesn't cause any wacky bugs, then I'd say we're fine. I will probably just search for the get effect by ID because that's the one place we did have a bug. And generally, you don't just write one instance of a bug, you write many instances of the same class of bugs. Now let's just let that run. Oh, and the damage is higher than 10 can go away. That can, yeah. All right, so where do we have that? We had it in shield bash, right? Or was it in, yeah, it was in shield bash. Here it is. So how do we get this? We did ec.getEffect with an effect ID. Okay, so I just search for this. There are literally only 2 places in the game where we do this. And this doesn't happen to be a problem. But this should be able to return a nullable thing. Yeah, let's just do that then. That way there's no possible way this could fail. It's so weird that there are only 2 of these, though. I guess they're ones that need to keep track of their own counters. So this one has a counter built into it. And this one has a counter built into it. Nothing else in the game does? Is that right? Yeah, none of those. This one should. Empowered spellcasting. Why does that not have it? Empowered spellcasting buff. Numbcast ++. This doesn't... No, this does store it in effect. We just don't need to get the effect? Oh, I see. I see. I coded this in a different way because it's prompted by any ability usage, not just one ability usage. So there are 2 prerequisites that need to be met. The ability needs to be triggered, or the buff needs to be triggered by another ability, and the buff needs to include a counter of some sort. Just a number. And I guess it's only those 2 that do that. Was there anything else that comes close to it? None of those. Steady shooting. That's very much like empowered spellcasting. None of those. This is already covered because we looked at that. And none of those. Except for exposed weakness. How does that work? Exposed weakness. Numb hits to proc. What makes this increase? Quick strike does. Hit counter. Quick strike has it itself. Okay. It's not a buff. It's just hard coded in the ability. Literally working on abilities for my game right now also. I'm pruning some of them because they're so complex to implement for time's sake. Yeah. I think having complex abilities in Skeleseller will be interesting for the other battle modes that we probably had. Do you have a release date or an approximation of the game already? So Next Fest is in 2 weeks. That'll give us a lot of information about how people are engaging with the game. And then depending on how that goes, it'll probably be easier to figure out the launch steps. But I think it'll be in fall. Okay. Yeah, nice. All right, revert this. I think we're ready to check this in. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty clean. I just want some comments on effect component probably to say what this is for. And it's very similar to what I did in Battle System, which is like battlers to be summoned or something like that. Where is that? Or removed. Remove dead battlers. Copied dead battlers. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So this is just to prevent concurrent modification. These are effects that should be added when we're no longer iterating through the effects. That way we prevent, does it know what the rest of that is? Concurrent modification error. It didn't fill it in for me. Thanks, John. Let's see. So add effect, we just need to write that this doesn't add effect. Note this technically only stages the effect for addition. It'll be added in the next add effects be added call. Yeah. Good job, AI. Good job writing half that sentence for me. You deserve a pat on the virtual back. Now we also fixed this. This was broken, but this probably didn't matter at all. Let's check that in on its own. Fix ID used for empowered spell casting. It was set to use the steady, what is it called? Steady shooting? Steady shot? Steady shooting. It was set to use the steady shooting ID, which probably will never matter, but it wasn't technically correct. Yeah, and then this has fixed the issue that we had, which is this 597. Stage the addition of effects. Fixes this. Effects are now staged in a collection before being added. That way we prevent concurrent modification errors. Yeah. I mean, I only cursorily tested it. Perhaps I should test it more. And we largely should have removed code from here. So here we got rid of 16 lines. Yeah. I think net change in this is probably like minus 13 lines or something. I'm only estimating. Okay, so now we sync and we watch this turn purple. Ready? Purple. Love seeing that. Great, done. All right, I was hitting that on my scene root PR. I thought I caused it. The issue is the new town we create starts adding event handlers. I think the solution can be applied to our current setup. So this was when we quit the game. I only vaguely remember what this had to do with. It was either quitting the game, going to the title screen, or finishing the cutscene or something. Let's just try and see if we can hit this. I don't even know what the issue is. It happens when loading the game from inside the town. I see. Okay, so if I click load, I think it used to break in. I mean, I'm not seeing it now. This was from loading the game. You were already in the town. It would cause a crash or something, at least an exception. I'm just going to move this to my stream of consciousness then, if I can't find what the issue is. There. I want to fix the shop thing. What is the shop thing? Measure shop through. Oh my God, this. I hated this. It's based on a combination of shop layout and where customers try to wander. Here's a potion shop. Circle represents this. Problem is a different shop still. Yep, got it. Means the faster a customer moves. What did I still want to do with this? This stuff's already pretty much fixed. And this is mostly fixed. I wrote partially address. Brings the odds of picking any shop closer to 33%, but there's still some issues that I explained in a comment. I didn't really explain it, did I? I think what we should do is this. Get rid of any cooling off and consider buying. Oh, right. And give it a bonus. Okay, I did write this. I had to debug it when working on the PR. Got it. Okay, this is probably not worth fixing right now. Yeah, I don't think this is worth fixing right now. So I'm going to delete that. The ECS performance thing I should probably fix. Also, are there any other PRs I haven't looked through? Updated 29 minutes ago. They are cool. We're working toward Next Fest. By the way, if those who don't know what Next Fest is, I've got a little command about it here. But in short, it is just a digital celebration of games on Steam. Not even a celebration, it's really a marketing event. And the prerequisites are your game needs to have a demo. Your game can't be launched already. And the last one is you couldn't have already participated in a previous Next Fest. So it's called Next Fest because it's only upcoming games that all have a demo. So any of the games in Next Fest you can play and you can gauge like, is this a game I want to keep on my radar? And I think it's super cool. It's good for everybody involved. Like players get to find new games they might like, developers get more eyes on their games, and Steam will probably get more money when these games finally launch. So it's a big deal for Skeleseller to be in it, not because it's hard to get accepted. You pretty much just click a button and you're in. But it's a big deal because it means that we'll get more eyes on the game. And the numbers that we've had have been kind of flagging. Let me see if I can show you this. 1252, so yeah, 1272. So here's our number of unique lifetime users. So people who actually opened the demo. And you can see about a month ago, it was 64 fewer than it is now. So we're getting like probably 2 new users per day. That's very little. If it were, let's say, 2 sales per day, that'd still be very little, because even at the price I want to charge, it'd be like $20 per day minus the Steam cut. Excuse me. So it'd be $14. And making $14 per day is not great as a software developer. So yeah, I'm hoping Next Fest brings in a lot of people. Really like the way you tackle issues, your explanations, the way you document everything you do. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, I've been trying to find a method that works for me, and I think this works pretty well. The only thing I haven't really settled on yet is how breaks factor into this stuff. Like I probably need to take a bathroom break pretty soon, but I think just having some space away also is pretty good. I just don't do it enough. Haven't finished working on this one. Gotcha. Yeah, so look through PRs is pretty much done then. So I think this is the next thing we'll tackle, and as I mentioned, I should probably take a bathroom break. So I will be back in just a bit. Is it jump time? It's jump time. For those who haven't seen this is the game we play on break. If you feel like joining, you type join in Twitch chat. No need for an exclamation mark. And then just J and a number. So try like J30 to jump to the right, or J -45 to jump to the left. And I'll be back in a little bit. Hey again. Close the game. Good job, everybody. All right, so this is going to be a performance fix we want to do here. I think the first thing that we should do is probably get a grip on what the performance currently is. That way we can tell how much we fixed it by. And I wonder what the easiest way to do this would be. How about we just start a performance collection here? Where did I write this down? C# in Godot performance profile. Here it is. Cool. Yeah, okay, so we run this. Yeah. Do you use any AI tools? I use Copilot, yeah. All right, so we go into the Skeleseller directory and run this. Is this all it's going to take? Because I think it's all it's going to take. And then I think we don't do anything here and just leave it running for a little bit. Let me start a stopwatch. I'll give it like 20 more seconds. I just want to make sure there's enough time being profiled. This is Godot with C#, yeah. So I know it might seem like nothing's happening in the game, but actually there are entities that are moving around, and that alone should be enough for it to be calling this function that I think I want to speed up. So that's pretty good. I don't need this to be anything too crazy. Now in the console, we press enter. And now we can go load that up. So when finished, do that. This will open a chromium.json file. Then open it in Chrome. Yeah. So let's go start a new tab, press F12, go to performance, load in our thing. We just got to get this directory. And then find profiling chromium. Cool. All right. So here's our stack trace. Or not our stack trace, our performance our profiling report that we have. And we want to find this. We should see our entity component thing, right? I might, whoops, how do I get back to the other thread? No. I don't know. All right, well, I should see it even here. Navigations and Pathfind is taking 10% of the time. Here it is, get component holder. I don't know where that just disappeared to. Here it is, 26%. Yeah, so I want to sort by total time. And just look at these. State machine is also taking a long time. I wonder why. Oh, maybe because that's calling. No, wait, why is this happening? Huh. Process in there. Maybe because that's what's doing the pathfinding. We have like customer wander process. I should see it from somewhere else. I guess we have to look. Yeah. Is the documentation with C# any good? Yeah, it's pretty good. In general, it's the same documentation as the GDScript ones. It's just the functions are named slightly differently, but in a predictable way. So it's, instead of having something like this, it's just in this casing, Pascal case. So it's not like you have to come up with what's a new method. And in GDScript, it's like get X, and in the other one, it's like get X coordinate or something like that. You just have to change the name. What profiler is that? This is .NET Trace, and I'm loading up the profile with Chrome. Covers all the state machines process, right? Yeah, so we'll probably see it somewhere else in here, but it'd be nice to know exactly what this is calling. I guess we'd find it in call tree, maybe. If I type state machine, do we see that? In fact, we see it at 90. Well, what? You can't do that? Okay, let's just expand all of this. Set current state process. Yeah, drat. Following the exact steps that produce the error might not give you the same error because there's so many variables. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to test, And having users test is one such way, but then there's also there's automated tests you came up with. There are fuzz tests that are going to change a lot of these variables and then just see if something's wrong. There's some like wild new methodologies that have been produced lately. Like I don't remember what they called this technology, but it was a system where they could replicate the exact state of everything, like CPU, network usage, memory, all of that, such that if you encountered a bug with this system, you could always reproduce it. You were guaranteed to be able to reproduce it because it was a fully reproducible virtual machine, which is nuts. That is very, very crazy. I want to see what process actually caused this to happen. Customer wander. Okay, what's that doing? Customer wander. It's calling into base wander. And this thing has the code that we want. Just how Lisps and Smalltalks have been doing it forever. No, it can't be, right? This is like they're tracking even the values in RAM of other programs. I can't even load this. I wonder if it's the process of this. Add wander to location. They don't have a target location component, then add it. I wonder if just this alone is enough to cause this to be a problem. Oh man. Okay, so how do we know once we fix this that we've fixed this? And that's the thing I'm not totally sure how we'll be able to tell. I mean, we can always go back and forth. It's going to be easy enough to do that. Let me find the profiling directory. I'm going to rename this to... Why do we have two of these? Does it always make the net trace file? Processing trace file to create a new one. Okay, yeah, then I must. Okay, so let's copy both of these into a new folder and we'll just call this like baseline 25s of doing nothing. Yeah, we'll just paste that in there. All right, now we'll delete these. And I want to try making a change to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to ECS. So here's what's happening. We made an entity component system. And I'll cover kind of the context of all of this so people can follow along. So an entity is just a collection of components. Components are just data. And then systems are things that act on entities with certain components and contain the logic of those things. So as an example, we have a health system or a health component. A health component just has life and max life. It does not have any functions that tell it like, oh, here's how, if you did fire damage, here's what should happen here. That would happen in a battle system, which concerns itself with entities with a health component and knows how to deal damage to these things and control it. So it's going to reach into these components and change the life and the max life. The reason you might want such a system like this is because maybe your entities aren't such rigid structures that you're like, oh, well, every entity in the game needs to have a way of dealing damage and taking damage and maybe moving. It's like, well, in our battles, there's no movement for the adventurers, but on the town there is. So we have an adventurer entity that has a navigation component or something like that, and then a battling entity that has a health component and whatever else, abilities component, so on and so forth. So that's our entity component system. In order for an entity to have components, we need to store them somewhere. So we made a component holder, which is actually a node in Godot. There is a thing called get node or get child, and we can say like, oh, get us the component holder located at our path that we know that we have, which is maybe just, component holder. The problem is this is an O of N function that Godot handles for us. And yet we know that we always want to access a component at a certain location. We know that we want to access a particular component within the component holder. So like we should speed these things up. This should be done in constant time. And there is a way to do this. I'm not sure what the best way to do it would be, but where we have add component holder. Hey, Grace, it's going pretty well. We can try using set meta and get meta for these things. So get component holder can be changed completely. Instead of this get node or null, what we could do is we could say return entity.getMeta. Now, how does this work? Takes in a string name and a variant default. Our default is going to just be null. So I guess in this case, we're just going to say component holder. And there's no genericized version of this? No. So we would need to cast this to a component holder question mark. This only ever, oh no, it did have that. It is not legal to use nullable reference in an as expression. Use the underlying type instead. Okay, sure. And I guess if it's null, can't convert a variant to that via reference conversion, unboxing conversion, wrapping conversion, or null type conversion. So this isn't considered a variant that we can actually use. So I guess it's not going to store, it won't end up being the right type. What are Godot variants then? That's not what I meant to search for. This. I see, primitives. Well, primitives in terms of Godot at least. We do have dictionaries and arrays there though. So we could store a Godot array of components and not even have a component holder. It could just be our, it could just be a Godot array. Yeah. Or a dictionary even. In fact, this is a collection. Let me look this up. Is there a performance issue you're trying to solve here? Yeah. Yeah, that was the context I had just given, which is we are calling get node on like every frame multiple times, and get node is an O(of)n process that Godot handles for us. And I want to make this constant time. Does it conform to collection? I don't know, so I want to look this up. Variant. On implementation of the variant type in place of Godot's variant class. Variant can be assigned to any compatible type implicitly, but converting requires an explicit cast. I'd love to see the conversion of that. Because apparently it can be an object. I might have written this down somewhere. Variant.as. That's what we need to do. Wow, that's easy. Okay, so we don't need to do anything too crazy here. We just need to call as a function like that, component holder. And that should work. Get node of the unique name is O(of)n. Yeah, I looked at the implementation in C++. And yeah, unfortunately it is. Is a node rather than a singleton or something like that. So each entity in our game, so let's say an adventurer, like let's say you have the rogue. These are, we have some scene, adventure.tscn. It needs to inherit from something that Godot provides. So it could be like a node 2D in this case. It's got to move around the town, so making a node 2D is pretty reasonable. Or it could be a sprite 2D, or it could be a bunch of other things. But anyway, it's like one of these. It doesn't really matter what it is. We need to be able to get components on that. And yet we also need to be able to get it on any other thing that might exist. Maybe we have like a signpost. A signpost would also be a node 2D in our case. The way you'd get components on this is by either making them all inherit from the same general thing. So we end up adding in an entity scene, and this is a node 2D. And then we change these things to be entities and not node 2Ds. And then we store the components inside this scene. Or we, with composition, like give them the properties we want. And in this case, I'm just testing because, like I said, this is a route that we can take. I'm testing to see if get meta and set meta are going to be fine for this, because I looked at their definitions and they are in constant time because they're just storing in a dictionary. So if you look at how this happens inside Godot code, they store a hash map here. So using get meta and set meta should be instantaneous. So that's what we're going to try at first. So just get component holder. We also need an add component holder somewhere. Ensure component holder exists. This calls get. If it's null, then we make a new one and then add it. I guess adding it is not a problem. I guess just getting it was a problem. Anything else we need to concern ourselves with here? No, I think it's pretty much it. You know how many lines of code you're at? It's somewhere between 20 and 40,000, I think. I haven't checked myself, but Kevin had checked a while ago, and I imagine it's in that range. I know it's a pretty big range. Yeah, this alone should speed things up. But the next speed up that we can accomplish is by putting all of the components into a dictionary. Although at that point, we need to be a little bit careful about how we do this. That will represent a change to this. 37,000 lines. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. All right, well, let's run this. And let's see, does the game even work? And then let's see if it got any faster. I guess the other thing we could do as a test for this, and I probably should have done this, is turn off VSync and see what kind of frame rate we're getting. Value cannot be null and get component holder. Oh, we never do set meta. Oh my God. Yeah. I knew I was missing something. Okay, my bad. Add child component holder, the container here. Yeah. This. So now entity dot set meta component holder container. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, that was just a dumb mistake. I still think the strategy I'm trying to accomplish here is sound. So if we see everything walking around like normal, then it probably means that this worked. Yeah, I don't see any problems here. I mean, I guess we can add a bunch of workers and see how they go. Yeah. Oh, no, that didn't work. Does not have any meta values with the key component holder. Oh, does this error every time it doesn't have one? What does it say? Must be valid identifier as per string name.is valid identifier. What's that? String name.is valid identifier. I'm guessing whatever I did is fine. Is valid. I can see is valid identifier in here. I think there's a hazmat. Oh, then that's what I want to use. Godot string name is valid identifier. This is probably rules like don't start with a number, if I had to guess. So I'm guessing we did this just fine. But where is this? Deprecated use is valid ASCII identifier. This returns true, so then yeah, my thing probably returns true. That's fine. All right, so let's check out hazmeta then. So get component holder would have to succeed. Always. Get component or null. If this is null, then return null. I guess we could just do it this way. If entity.hasMeta component holder, then return that. Otherwise, return null. Okay, great. Then put this as a question mark. All right, so that'll hopefully get rid of those. 13,000 lines. Well, I think number of lines of code isn't super important. It's all, what are those lines of code doing? How much of a game do you have? You can probably write some games in a small number of lines of code and never want more lines. Unless you're expanding the game. Oh, what was I doing? Oh yeah, checking this. Okay, so then what about in a battle? Can they do damage to each other and everything? Yeah. Okay, well that's that. So now let's see if it got any faster. Although I also wanted to figure out what frame rate this is running at. How do you even do that? Monitors FPS. I think we just turn that on. Although maybe we should turn on one of these other ones, process. Oh, FPS is capped right now. We need to unlimit it. Now what does it show? 120. If I zoom out, if I zoom in, still only 120. Doesn't seem right. I think the OS zoom is not working on stream. Oh yeah, you're right. Huh, wonder why that stopped getting captured. 24,000 lines of GD script. I wonder, I don't know if C# counts the curly braces as their own line. Because I was gonna say GScript wouldn't have that. Is it still capped at 120? Oh no, it just shot up to 240. Now it's 120. What? What caused it to shoot up to 240? I do see some variations. Yeah, it went up to 160 there. It's mostly hovering at 120 though. All right, well, here's what we would try. What we would try is, what if we got rid of this change that I just made? So this ECS change, this alone, what if we just stash this? Stash. Okay, now we start again. Moving the camera might cause it to go higher. It might, I don't know why that would happen. And I wasn't actually moving anything. All right, so now what is this at? Okay, I expected that to be lower than 120. What we really should be looking at is the process time, because this can probably output at the same frame rate regardless. Also, is there some other setting? This is set to off, but if I set this to 90, for example, and hit save, this should always be 90 now. Yeah, and if I increase this to 150, we don't actually hit 150. Yeah, so we are limited by the performance of the system and not by some arbitrary limit that's set. And yeah, this change alone isn't enough to make it significant, but let's still try this. Yeah, let's pop this and take a profile. So just like before, I'll let this run for about 25 seconds. Whoops, I didn't mean to open that. Shouldn't really have an impact. Stopwatch. Yeah. I didn't move the camera the first time around either. Just want to see, did anything meaningful change with this? We'll let this hit 20 seconds and I'll stop it. Because I just don't want something as common as fetching a component to be something that slows down the program. All right, so now we stop this. And then we load this up. This should be the new one, right? Today at 11:20. Sounds good. Go to our thing, load a new one in. All right, so now we go to here and click this. All right, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? I guess call tree. No, that's not gonna help. Get component holder is still taking a long time. Get component or null. Has component. Okay, so this makes sense. Now I think we've moved past the component holder and now we're trying to access things with this. And the way we're testing if we have it is by iterating over every component. So what I want to do is I want to turn this into a dictionary, but do I want to turn it into a dictionary of arrays? We don't ever have the need for multiple of one type of component right now. But if we do in the future, we might want to change this. Do we have a problem with that now? What happens when you call add component with something that already has a component? Yeah, we prevent it. Okay, so then we can just make this a dictionary. Okay. See, we're in optimization phase. Just for this one thing, because this is something that's foundational for the game, which is getting and adding components. We do it on every single frame so many different times that to have this be slow is just not, it's not reasonable. And it was on my list of things to look into. So if we change this into a dictionary of a component ID to a component, and I guess call this components by ID, sure, whatever, I don't really care. Name doesn't matter. Actually, calling it components is probably fine. Let's change it at the end, because now it's going to fail for all of these. So for this, we want to do component dot ID. We don't even have the ID. You kidding me? What? It really doesn't have the ID in here? Huh. That's surprising. Did I not do that? Health component. It has it here. Oh, God. I think to get this attribute would involve a reflection, which will probably be annoying. Oh, that's stupid. That's really stupid. I mean, we could get it by name. Oh, I think even get type might be slow. Can you set it on component construction? We can, but the problem is that we define them like this. I think I need to move it to how they get constructed then. So I'm passing in component ID dot health component, but I'm not sure what effect that's going to have because we check for these attributes somewhere. All right, for now, how about this? Let's just use the name because we know the name is at least unique. And I'll say components by name, I guess. Component name equals component. All right, remove. Does it fail when this thing doesn't exist? Nope. So that's not a problem. All right, now what's this do? We go through all of our components and we remove them all from the entity. Okay, so we can just do for each. Yeah. Why do we use that? What do we do with it? I don't know. I'll look into that later. Because for now, like using the name should be fine. And if it turns out to not be, then we can look into that. But yeah, I would need to change this. Hey, Fliz, back from exams. Looking at screen while brain thinks finally worked. Good. Do you know how you did on the exams? Is it a string or a string name? It's a string, but it is gotten from a type in C#, and I don't know how fast that is. Where is this? Yeah, here. It's get type.name. But yeah, the name is just a string. But I'm not super concerned about that because we will replace that with an ID at some point. And now get component, rather than doing this, can just say return components by name dot. Isn't there a get that can return false? Try get value? It's try get value, but without the out. Is this a thing? I guess it's a thing. Okay, and then that's it. That should just work. Yeah, let's try it. Did great on most. Barely survived an electricity course. Did survive. All right, nice place. Congratulations. No accessible thing components. This was public. Why was that public? Where do we use this? Oh God. Oh God. ECS and ECS save functions. Okay. One of them is not really a problem, I think. Axel, thanks for subbing. Welcome in. All right, this was just a debug function, so this shouldn't be that hard to do. We can just say components by name. In fact, why do we even do this? Why not just have component holder print this out? All right, I'm gonna just delete this for now. And I'll say to do move this to component holder probably. Validation to access the component IDs. We could maybe change it to be an interface and static value. Yeah, I'll write that down. To do swap to using IDs, which would mean removing the attributes we have. All right, there's somewhere else I got to change this though, right? ECS save functions gets components. So they can do what? These are saved. Oh God. These are saved to a file. I mean, technically we could just ignore this for now. So it adds the components as metadata on its parents. So the component holder itself is metadata on the parent now. The components within that are just a dictionary, which I guess technically does mean that it is stored as metadata as well. Yeah. All right. So we used to get components. Now I guess we get do component by name, which why do we even do this? Why is this here? Huh, interesting. Why do these functions exist? I don't know why. I'll need to look into that too. but now it should be even easier to write. You just say, yeah, get component by name. Where is this? Get the component holder, otherwise components by name, component name. Oh, right. This is our like try get value without having to assign it to a value, obviously. Ugh, let's go change whatever I did. Where is that try get value? I don't know. There it is. All right, so this should just be type of t.name. And we don't need any of that other stuff. Cannot implicitly convert type component to t. Sure. Anything else that's wrong? Doesn't look like it. Let's try running. It might fail. Yeah, it failed to build. Component holder does not contain a definition for components. Where's that coming from though? ECS 169. Get components to serialize. Get anything that's serializable. So this is just by name.values out where. Converting a null thing. Yeah, we're just assuming this exists. I mean, that's fine for now. We have a lot we need to change. And again, I'm just testing this as quickly as possible. Given key town component was not present in the dictionary. Oh, this does cause a failure then? Okay, did not realize. So we do need to do things this way. There's no other way to do that? C# get value from dictionary or null. It's literally got to be try get value. And there's no other way. Yeah, it's fine. This is not necessarily a problem. Does get value fail? There is no get value? Oh, yeah, it doesn't even exist. Okay, sure, whatever. I guess there's contains value and then you could check based on that. Yeah. All right, well, it doesn't make a difference. But it will wherever I wrote that other part because that is not going to work. Components by name. Where are you? Bad code. Here. Try get value. Component name. There. Okay. And I'll ignore the rest of that for now. Will it run? Yes. Cool. Goes to 700 plus, even with process over 20 seconds. Huh, yeah. I wonder why that is happening. Maybe there's some limit in here. VSync rendering device. VSync is enabled here, although we're disabling it for the game. And I don't even see a limit in this. Anyway, we shouldn't rely on that, as Kevin said. We should just look at the net trace file that we get. All right, is everything working? Looks like it. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. So now let's trace this. All right. So we're just going to let the game run. Oh, wait, this will technically... I think after I ran the first time, I turned off VSync. So I think technically I should have it on right now. It probably doesn't matter. So let's stop this. And then before I forget, let's go turn that off. Or turn it on, or whatever it is I'm trying to say here. Just turn that on. Yeah, save. Okay, quit. All right, now let's go load up the stack. Load. And what do we have now? So get component holder is still taking up a lot of time. It is possible for this to still be taking up a lot of time. We are calling this a lot. But it shouldn't be taking up as much as it used to take. Is there something more I can dig into here? I guess because it's all got to converge on Godot eventually. I need a better way of testing this out. I guess it would be based on how long process takes. So we could run from here. And instead of looking at FPS, we just look at process. Wonder if there's a way for this to always live in C# land, and if that would be a big improvement. Yeah. I mean, even like we call this so many times get component that it makes me think just cutting down from searching through 5 things down to searching through 1 thing. Like this is probably being called hundreds of times per second. So that should add up. So is there a way for this thing to tell us what the average is? Because it's telling us the immediate value. And I know we can just kind of eyeball it to be roughly this line, but I'd love to know exactly what it thinks it is. I don't think there's a way to do that. What if I stop this now? I'm kind of surprised they don't do that. Anyway, we could probably say it's about 19 milliseconds. Like that line's probably representative with all these spikes. It'd just be nice to know exactly what it is. Godot get average process time from graph. They don't have a way of doing that. I mean, if you can't right click the graph, I don't know how else you would do this because I don't see any other buttons in here. Could that be what the 23 in the upper area represents? It might be actually, yeah. I guess now that I stopped it, it could also just be the last. No, I think it's just the last value. Also, I hate to lose. Yeah, it just happens to be the exact same number as the one at the top. That's what was happening when I was running. And we can't export this or anything. I can't see this data in any other way. No. Man. Man. There's really no way to see that. Well, I mean, we could just take a screenshot of this. Okay, so what is this one? This is with improvements. And now let's go try the one without it. Oh wait, I don't even need to redo this, do I? Yeah, I do. Git stash. Then go back into this and just relaunch. And I guess just let it run for the same general amount of time. So we're comparing against this one. There isn't even a time on the bottom here. Are the numbers already higher? Yeah, we were hovering below 19 milliseconds for most of it, and it looks like it's kind of the same over here. Maybe it's in the profiler tab. Maybe. I think that only works for GD script though. But hey, Badada. We could use the performance thing in game. Yeah, okay. I can take a look at that. I'll let this run for a little bit longer just so that the general width of this graph matches the general width of this graph. And then we can just take a look at them both. But yeah, it doesn't look like this really had a big impact. All right, that's probably good. Let's stop this. So this one, everything was below this 19 line here. Over here, we can see it's probably hovering around the same amount, to be honest, but it's kind of hard to tell. The 19 line would be right about, you can't even select it. So difficult. It's like right around there. And yeah, it's probably about the same. I just want to see if that was a better gauge than this. Because we can see how long this stuff is taking, but we need to know. Oh, I guess we can just look at these both. Yeah, let's look at the original one that we had, the baseline. And let's take a look at that. So get component holder here was 26%. I could probably just load up both of these, right? Yeah. I can put the baseline on the left and the new one on the right. All right, so we should see get component holder, yeah. And what's the percentage here? It's actually higher. They were running for almost exactly the same amount of time. That was just pure coincidence. 32 seconds. Well, what about the navigation system? 14% versus 14%. Yeah. I mean, I would take this to mean that there wasn't a drastic difference here. And it could be any number of reasons, but it's probably not worth focusing on too much then. One of the things that could be causing this problem is that... Wait, was I running with the performance improvements? I might not have been. I don't even know. Well, anyway, let's pop this stash. So yeah, one of the problems could have been that I was searching by component name, which technically... Well, actually, I guess this was a get set. So this would have been instantaneous. It's only when we set it the first time it wouldn't have been. So that shouldn't have been a problem. Batman, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Oh, by the way, I never actually clicked the profiler tab, did I? But I'm pretty sure it's only for GDScript. Yeah. I don't think we can use that for this. Can you add columns like number of calls? You can't add them. Is there anything else that's here? Heaviest stack? Oh, interesting. Well, would you look at that? So physics process in the navigation system. Oh, wait, is this heaviest stack within whatever thing we're looking at? Oh, that's not that helpful then. What does this little broom button do? Collect garbage. I guess that's if it's still running. Yeah. All right, any other threads worth looking at? String name destroy. String name dispose. That's interesting. I wonder where that's coming from. Because this thread is entirely for just deleting string names, apparently. It says .NET finalizer thread. So it might not be worth considering. And also it's happening on another thread. And we really only have a handful of threads here. Yeah. C# instance bridge taking up 80% of the time. Oh, whoops. I'm like super zooming in. So never mind. This might have actually been different. Hey, Cricket. Welcome in. Thanks for the raid. How goes it? How's everyone doing? We're doing some performance testing for Skeleseller. And I'm not totally sure what my conclusion should be from this. I think it's that I probably shouldn't do anything right now. But the game itself is here. You hire adventurers, you send them into battle, you sell their items. I'll let this just kind of run in the background as I talk about stuff. But yeah, I hope the stream was good. Welcome in, everybody. Let me turn this off. There we go. Cool. Oh, that's a bug. They can no longer walk through the portal. Although that's probably a bug caused by these changes I just made, which I think I want to just delete. I'm not sure what would have caused it to happen though, because this should be identical to what we had. Unless I'm loading from a save file, which I'm not. Or maybe, no, this just has to be a bug that I added, right? No, everyone stopped moving. Why? Oh, look, a bunch of errors. Cannot access this supposed object. Okay. This is probably due to the component stuff that I had made. Yeah. I think what's going on. Yeah, I know what's going on. I'm pretty certain. I think when I delete the component holder, I'm not unsetting the meta thing that we have. Do we ever actually remove that though? I want to just have this running while I was going to chat with raiders. So maybe the trace you had earlier is not valid. I didn't start any battles, and I don't think we saw anything. Yeah, it is possible it's not valid, but I think that only happened because I started a battle. Like nothing should be deleting the component holders. So if I just run this with the code that I have and I don't touch anything, in fact, let's just speed this up, but otherwise not touch anything, I don't think it'll ever error. I've been learning Godot and I'm using C# since I came from Unity and prefer it. Since you're using it as well, have you encountered any problems or would it be better to use GDScript? The two things where I think it's better to use GDScript over C# are if you want hot reloading of scripts or if you want web export, which will eventually come to C#. This doesn't matter to me, the web export. I don't care about this. This would be pretty nice. It is a little annoying to restart your entire game when you're just making a simple change to a script. And you can still make changes to the scene tree and those will get reflected immediately, but just not to your C# code. And there is hot reloading in C# in some cases, but it just wasn't reliable. Yeah, so anyway, no errors here. So it's only caused by starting a battle. And that is probably only caused by... Oh, it's only characters with projectiles. So it's not even if I had started a battle, it's got to be the mage. So if I put the mage into a battle, they're going to fail. Yes, they fail immediately. And then they just start spewing errors, I'm guessing. Yeah. And as mentioned, I'm pretty certain I know what's causing this. We have a remove component holder somewhere. Do we do this? Remove component, remove. That should all be fine. That should be fine. That should be fine. There is nothing that deletes this? Well, I'm not sure exactly. But I don't think we should do very much for this then. I think I need to devote a little bit more time to this. And I don't think this is super pressing right now anyway. Is there anything else I wanted to change? I mean, changing some of this stuff, like changing this to a dictionary is probably just a good change. Like we could keep this even if it doesn't have a major performance improvement. And if that's all we keep, everything, oh no, everything wouldn't just work. We'd have to fix these other things up too. Yeah, I think that's my conclusion then. It's just not worth working on this right now. I think I'll ditch all of this. Yeah. Okay, let's close out all this other stuff. go over to here and just say, whenever we get to performance testing for the component stuff, we may want to store components in a dictionary by their IDs. At that point, we'll just do that, which would mean removing the attributes that we have and swapping with this. How are you building for web? I'm not. I'm just saying it's not a requirement for me. So this is eventually going to be a paid game, and having it be a paid game on the web is just not really a concern of mine. Now, we could have a demo on the web at some point. That could potentially be helpful, but I also don't think that's super important. I think that's more of like a mobile scenario in my mind, because there is a demo on Steam already. So this is something that's possible. This is something that's not possible right now. But the Godot team is working on this to allow for C# exports to the web. And they've made some really good progress recently. It comes with some caveats. I don't exactly know what the caveats are. I read about them and I've just forgotten since then. So I think I'm just going to ditch this whole everything I've done. And we'll just come back to this later. Yeah. So I should probably file this somewhere. Do we have anything about performance? Do some performance testing. Yeah, it's pretty much that. Opened 2 weeks ago. Okay, so... Oh, wait, this is last week. Have I read this? I think we need to at least try looking into performance upgrades where possible to make testing faster for us. Areas would greatly benefit: battle simulations, party comp testing, realistic town throughput testing. Wait, what? Why do we need greatly faster testing? Huh. I don't think I agree with this. What does this button do? What is this? Is this a link to, what is this? Oh, I think this is a link to the footnote. Yeah. Okay. So I did some testing for the ECS specifically just now, and it didn't seem like it drastically changed anything for me to put add/fetch the component holder from get meta and, or I guess set meta and get meta. Note the variant must be cast with .as t, and store components within the component holder in a dictionary with their names for keys, just for ease, since we don't have their component IDs without reflection. Okay, yeah. Changes I made are this, and I didn't see any major performance impact. Kevin wonders if it's due to the marshalling overhead from C# to C++. If it is, then I guess the way we'd get around that is by not using get meta and set meta. If it is, then perhaps we could have all entities inherit from a single scene somewhere. This would probably not work. Yeah. That way, any entity could access its components directly without going to the C++ side of things. Responding to comment 2. Copy link. Darkstorm. Why? I guess like is it important for us to be able to test this stuff faster? The balance stuff should only matter when we add more content. And the town throughput stuff could be tested in a different way if needed. I get that the game should run as fast as possible, but that doesn't come for free. And it just doesn't seem like a priority for us to run at like 1000x speed. Okay. Okay, excuse me. That sneeze was building for a while. I want to mute my mic. Okay, so this I want to put into that comment, I think. I did this because those functions are done in constant time. Cool. Yeah. Did I add the comment for that? No, I didn't. We could eventually use the IDs. Here. Cool. Yeah. All right, done. Okay, so now we are at a sort of a blank slate. Not quite, but sort of. I wrote this at the beginning of May that these are the things I kind of wanted to do before Next Fest. And I don't know about the feasibility of some of these things. Like, could I finish a music track in the next 2 weeks? Yeah, probably if I spend a bunch of time on it. Is it worth doing that? Probably not. I think if I get some free time, yeah, sure, I'll fiddle around with it a bit. But I don't think it needs to be a priority. I think I'll delete that. Hiding the empty plots of land on the map. I think this is just obnoxious to do. And I'd still love for it to be done, but it's not worth prioritizing. Try some marketing stuff. We did that. Maybe work on controller support. I don't think that's gonna happen. And then yeah, some triage stuff. Hey, Pretechnic. A boundary layer seems like probably a performance culprit, so that sounds plausible to me. Yeah. Yeah. And it's potentially worth looking into. I just don't know if it's the most important thing. Don't delete, just move it down the priority list. Well, some of these things are not things that need to be tracked here. Like music, I'm just aware that I could work on music at any time. The hiding the empty plots of land is already on GitHub. Trying out marketing is, again, one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to forget that we need to market the game. Controller support is on GitHub. And then this is just triage this list. So yeah, they are already tracked. But yeah, I appreciate the concern, Stray Particles, and welcome. Good job. You're almost done with May. Well, everyone's almost done with May, whether they want to be or not. But yeah, June's the big one. Next Fest results in happy players, but not enough of them. Then we know we have a marketing problem. I don't think it needs to be here. Yeah, at any step, I feel like the next step should be a little bit clear of what's going on. And all I know is that it's 2 weeks from now is Next Fest. And then after that is just a question mark. Like, how do we know the game is doing well? And there are some like surefire ways we can know is, I don't know, greater than 10,000 wish lists. It's like, okay, if I got that many, yeah, probably people really like the game and they shared it a lot and a lot of people played. But short of that, how do you know that it's doing well? Like if we got plus 1,000 wish lists, does that mean that this is great and we should pursue it? Or how do we know it's doing poorly? Yeah. If you beat Wukong. Wukong's a released game, right? Steam. Oh, neat. They stopped. Oh man, look at this. They changed the UI for this. It used to be you had to type in an age thing here, and Steam asked you like every single time, and there were 3 drop downs. So you'd have to click the year drop down and then like scroll to a year and then click that and then view page. Now apparently you just click view page and they just say, hey, we trust you're at least 18 years old. This is way better UI for that. This is a different thing. Oh, well, it looks like the same thing I would have seen though. Anyway, I didn't even want to watch the trailer or look at any of this stuff. I just want to see if it was released, which I think we can. Yeah, it was released. Yeah, I was pretty certain about that. Also, wow, this game must have sold fantastically well. Is we gonna block stuff the game? Oh, maybe I do have some block stuff then. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, it'd be nice if they changed the other thing. Yeah, so I'm not going to be competing with a game like this. If they were to release another game and have a demo next fest, then yeah, technically kind of sort of you are, but you're still sort of only really competing with stuff in your own genre. Like I think different eyes are looking at FPSs from racing games, from power washing simulator, from whatever, casual idle games. Oh yeah, I'm not really even if Wukong were a cartoonish idle game, I still would think yeah, I'm not competing on the same budget. I'm not gonna let that kind of block me. Gonna have a trailer at Jeff 3. What is that? I don't even know what this is. Summer Games Fest. I don't know what that is either. What is this thing? Summer Game Fest. Oh, wait. Maybe I've seen this from... Is this laggy? Scrolling seems laggy. Maybe I've seen this in previous years. I think there was some like award show, formerly known as E3. Anyway, what was I saying before all this? So, yeah, we're at a clean slate. I had some priorities for May, but I think it's pretty much just like when we look at the game, what stands out as being something that we should address. And part of this should be fueled by some more user research. And I guess we don't have very long, so I probably should set up, yeah, I have this written down, set up a user research session. I will say something that's kind of interesting is I've mentioned this before. I've watched a lot of people play games for the first time that I'm interested in. So, for example, like Undertale, I liked watching just streamers who were new to the game. I didn't know who these streamers were. I watched them play the game. They thought some parts were fun or some parts were funny. At some point, you watch enough new players play a game where it's not as entertaining. You kind of know what to expect. You've seen the range of reactions to things. And when it's someone else's game, you're like, whatever, I'll just move on to some other game. But when it's your own game, then I think you need to be extracting some other kind of value from this. And yeah, I have now seen enough people play the game where I sort of know how they're going to react to things. So I'm only trying to extract some like, okay, how's this new UI change or how's the new adventure progression working? And whenever someone streams or plays a game on Twitch or YouTube, I will generally just play the thing at 2x. And that's good enough for me to be able to tell what's going on. In Next Fest, enough people might stream or play the game where I can't watch all the videos. And I suspect that across all the videos, we're going to get the same feedback anyway. It's going to be like, oh, this button is confusing or something, or I didn't like this part of the game. So now the whole reason I'm saying that is I want to do user research, but sitting there and watching a friend play for an hour is not as entertaining. And if I just had them record themselves play, then I wouldn't be able to interject. So it feels a little more like work than it did originally. Yeah, I think we should do some more triage of this list and maybe another like play session at some point. Lots of people will just stream in the demos category, so they don't have to update category all day long. They'll probably have Skeleseller in the name of their video though. Although they won't necessarily, maybe they'll just say like trying Next Fest games. But I have some searches of Skeleseller just as a search term. So for example, I'm not in the category, but I have it in my title. And yeah, like this person streamed in the Skeleseller category. Boomer did too. Yeah, pretty much everyone did here. But then I also have a search for the category specifically. Although for this, you just click videos and I guess you find them all. And a Google search, which typically has found pretty much nothing that I haven't produced. Yeah. There's some like little Steam things. Windy Stream shows up because he had played. Wait, what's this? New demo Skeleseller, one interesting new game. Hold on a second. I don't think I've seen that. And that was 4 days ago. I check this like every day. Huh. It has no views according to this. Athena Dragon. Okay, I'll have to watch this person's video. Wow. 4 days ago. What version was live 4 days ago? That would have been this patch. Yeah, it was the newest patch. Well, assuming they played on that day. I guess there's no way for me to know. They only uploaded the video 4 days ago. They might have played 2 weeks ago. I'll be able to tell in the title screen though. But yeah, I'll write this down. I'll check this video out tomorrow. Watch this video and leave a comment. Try lots of things in a single stream. Yeah, it would be almost impossible for me to find those videos. But probably it wouldn't matter too much. Because like I said, anyone who does have a specific video, like their feedback's going to be just as valuable as the people who are just spamming a bunch of those games. Seems to be a VOD. But it's a VOD with Skeleseller content, right? Because as long as it's something I can watch with Skeleseller content, then it's probably worthwhile. So yeah, so it's about noon right now. I should get some food. But I think we'll do some more triage in the afternoon and some playtesting maybe. So afternoon, triage, and playtesting. What do we do so far today? Just address some of the feedback. Yeah, more just prep for Next Fest, I guess I'd say. Hey, Goldskin. Speed-on's badge. Neat. Are you worried that people might find a way to exploit the next demo to play most of the game? No, I'm not worried about that. Also, there's no need to exploit it to do that. All of the content in the game is in the demo right now. So we haven't even started. We haven't started differentiating. All right, I'll just write prep for Next Fest. Also did some performance testing, but it wasn't all that fruitful. Play the game for about an hour. Seems like the... Not sure what she said in parentheses there. I thought about it for a while. They get... Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, then they're playing they're playing the newest one, probably, that has faster progression. They should probably even out some of the progression speed. Also, the median playtime dropped again. It had previously gotten up to an hour and 23 minutes. It's back down to an hour and 22 minutes. I'm not really concerned about this changing even by like 20 minutes. I think having an hour median playtime for the demo is pretty good. It means people are engaging in the game. Okay, I'm going to go scrounge around for lunch. And I'll be back in about an hour. Like I said, it's about noon for me. So that means I'll be back at about 1. And we'll just keep doing more prep for Next Fest. So thank you all for watching. And I hope to see you in the afternoon. But if not, have a good rest of your day. Take care.